Oh, the Canadian Contender League is back once again, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize for all the technical issues today, but it seems like Thatcher just got a little bit pissed that he got banned in the first map, so he decided to EMP our server, EMP our VMix streams, but it seems like we put Thatcher into his place, and everything seems to be back up and running once again. My name is Chief Cast. My compadre in crime is Light Rose. And Light Rose, why we've been away, our rosters have still been playing and moving forward, haven't they?
Yes, and I believe if we go to the game, which we should very, very soon, it is actually 3-2, and that's actually a lot closer. And I did see that little pup in the background.
She's not happy right now. Somebody's outside, and she's growling at them.
You cannot hide her from me.
Oh, crackhead mode is she's gonna be enabled like crackhead mode in a second. She's gonna be like running around the house like a madman. So you're just gonna hear like thump, 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 thump the whole time, and she's just like trying to like eat whatever is annoying her currently. But as you were mentioning, Light Rose, and before Cora rudely interrupted us, it seems like Valorous has found the impact frags that they needed. They ended up forfeiting the first 2 rounds, but they're starting to adapt very well to this 5v4 scenario that unfortunately they're put on through. Again, Badger was unable to play today due to some other technical issues, not in regards to us, but Raptors. A solo hunting pack. None of his fellow dinosaurs to be seen, but that's not going to stop him as he shoots Storms in the back. And to mention Storms, back in, I believe it was round 3, one of the rounds where we were not on broadcast, Storms single-handedly saved the day for Valor, is able to find a 1v3 fight.
Yeah, and you can see that with the kill numbers that really Valorous is putting up. You see Storms with that 5 kill, Flinty's with 6, and already Hixer and Hawk really putting up numbers of their own. As this Flinty's going to have a great crosshair placement onto Raptor, and still 1-1. NFH still has the advantage, but right now Flinty's is still on the roam, and that's absolutely something that Not From Home need to worry about. You do see that air jab being put in place, so right now they have some sort of measure in place, but still, Flinty's knows their way around the map. They know how to go forward, and Hawks shooting outside. They're still trying to put any pressure that they can onto Not From Home. You do see Tones on very low HP, so as they get down and taken out, right now, Valor's still looking good, and if they go up 4-2, and yes, Chalet might be a defender-sided map or anything, or I don't even know if that's true, but still, Valor's going ahead despite having a man down. That just shows their prowess as a team, honestly.
So far, Valor's equal roster count as their opponents not from here, but with not a lot of time left on the clock, 40 seconds, it's going to come down to a brawl once again. BT here's won the piano side, a swing, and Hawks is able to win it. Great gunplay by him, but he's going to find himself another contact, winning that as well, and a third one's going to start to present themselves. He's going to play it a little bit more patiently. A 1v3 in favor of Valor's. Syria gates get opened up. The Maestro bubble tasing into oblivion. Hixer will find that kill. What a round from Valor's. A 3v3 just instantaneously converted to a 3v0.
And right there, as now we're just starting to swap sides, Valor's with a decent chunk of change as their lead, a 2-round lead. That can mean huge when they are down in members. We're going over to Bar Gaming for the first time. This is where NFH can really, take their comeback, take what they have in stride, because they can now choose to take their fights however they want to roam, whether that's Stav, Raptor, or Tones, how they want to spread themselves out around the map. They can afford the ability to refrag, to play near each other, and just, anything that having that man advantage gives you. As now we do see Valor's, they are going to be down a drone. They are going to be down, utility, that offensive utility. So this is the time where that lead that you lost can be made up. But still, Valor's having that massive amounts of kill power in their pocket with Flinty Storms. Not even just everybody on Valor's has the ability to hold on their own, and that just is why we see them in the lead. Why we see them, have that. Why they have the ability to honestly take this match despite being down.
Change up in the utility lineup for Valor is they're showing 2 hard breachers. Thermite's gonna be 6 picked away from, I should say, in favor of that Flores. Now, whatever strategy that Valorous runs into not from here, well, they're going to be able to address it. You're not going to be able to comfortably burn all of the ADSs. assuming that you miss your ADSs, right? There's going to be 3 ADSs currently in play. A good flashbang dump will be able to address that. But the problem is, if Valor's doesn't follow up on those flashbangs, that is going to put them at the disadvantage. You're going to have to call in for some additional amount of reinforcement. But Light Rose, all the utility that might be on the map, it could not matter because it's a rush from Valor's. They're already in the bomb site. Storms are going to be felled, though. It seems like Not From Here has been aware, but 2 refrags in favor of Valor's. But still, it's a cluster on the bomb site. Raptor's getting his pick. Where is the diffuser? Hoax is nowhere to be seen. He's on the flank, holding the cross coverage, but now it's been traded back. It's all on Hoax. Primary hard breacher, below 25 HP. His 2 contacts at full HP. This is going to be a difficult round for him to save for Valor's.
Yeah, he's not only going to have to be the primary hard breacher, he's going to have to be the primary fragger, the primary planter, and everything in between. Because right now, they have the diffuser, but what they don't have is the ability to really take these gunfights because they're on such low HP. Yes, they have the AK-12, which is one of the best guns in the game when it comes to DPS, but with the Vector and the Roni, those both are guns that really can hold their own weight. And as we do see the Selma being thrown out, Hawks swinging, and still they're not going to be able to find the head of VT. It's just every single step that they take is the steps that is taken with extreme cautions. Right now we see VT slowly backing out of the bomb site, but that is communicated on over to Hawks. They know that they are backing out as well. We see the planter going down. The diffuser is indicated on over to Raptor, but still it's trying to get a plant. It's trying to bait out Raptor to drop the hatch to get something, as right there, sadly, the toes have been found, and Not From Here stopping the momentum of Valor GG as we swap on over these sides.
I think that was just a sign of Valor's almost desperation, where they realize that it's going to be a difficult execute into bar if they do the normal push from the solar side of the map, clear every single bit of utility, clear the attackers, drone everything out. I mean, we saw Not From Here with a 5-man team executing with 15 seconds left on the clock. Valor is the man disadvantage. Assuming that they're just as efficient as Not From Here, that is not a lot of time to go for a pick, particularly when you're already at the disadvantage. So they decide to go for a rush. They knew frost mats were in play, but they're able to address it off the bat, enter into the site, catch Not From Here off guard. But one of the saving graces from the defending team was the fact that hatches were not reinforced. They were left open and allowed for like a 2-pronged crosshair or 2-pronged crossfire. One from the flat angle of the first floor and one from above. Valor's have flexed their muscles, have flexed how good they are when it comes to clicking heads, but you're just not going to be able to transfer such a one-story, gunfight like that.
Yeah, and I think that could come down to how Not From Here really set up the site. They set it for the ability to retake it easily with, rotates being available with those hatches, and especially with what we saw playing on the stairs. I believe that was Raptor on the Mozzie. Them playing on the stairs, they were actually able to find 2. One was the toes of Ox, and then I believe that was Flinty's as well. So the positioning as well. A lot of as wells coming out from Not From Here as they're doing great when it comes to their positioning and how they're taking these gunfights, at least for the last round. But now, as we're swapping on over to the second floor, I think with Storms going onto Fluke Balcony and, being very, very aggressive, especially on this site, might not do you good because, right, we're seeing these Vigil, we're seeing Goyo Shields, Mute Jammers, everything to deny intel from Valor's GG, which was actually allowed the rush. We saw the frost mat being indicated, the open hatch, and everything that just allowed for entry into the site. So Valor GG taking these things a lot more slowly, trying to deny intel and making sure they really check every corner that they can.
I like the strategy that Not From Here has brought out. Bringing that Goyo shield at the half wall is going to be critical. It's going to allow the defense to swing and challenge the main breach. There is one problem to that, though, is if Valor's drones it out, they can destroy the shield from underneath. It doesn't matter what ADSs or Surya Gates are currently in play. None Surya Gates actually in round number 8, but still, you're able to negotiate that pressure from underneath. I mean, you have a set of frag grenades, you have breaching launchers, and sure, you can also bring the RCXD drones of Storms on forward. Now, it seems like you and I, Light Rose, has been mute bugged. Oh, it was just a temporary mute bug when we switched players. Thankfully, it went away. How awkward it'd be if we had another technical problem, at least it would have been outside of our hands, but the top wall has been opened up, allowing a long angle for Valors to take the gun finds on the extension upstairs, as well as a secondary Selma charge going off on the kitchen wall. Another long angle now being created, and you can cut off the entire bomb site in half, as well as a solar stairs rotation.
We're seeing that wall being opened up as well as the Gauntlet 6 destroying utilities. So now Valor GG, they are setting themselves up for this execution, but not really having access to that top floor is hurting them a little bit, because even if they enter, if Encrypts is somehow able to put in some sort of pressure, we see upstairs with VT, Raptor, everybody else, they're just going to be able to provide a different type of pressure, and that's vertical pressure. That's something that you really cannot deal with. The Stab is really taking these gunfights head on. They're going to do a big little bit of damage to Storm, so they're going to take a lot in process. As Tones finds two, and then now you see Valor's, their heads are on a swivel. They have no clue where that Jaeger roam came from. That's going to hurt them extremely, as now that entire attack might be gone and in the wind.
Forced to scramble and forced to retrieve that diffuser. Flinties has to push on forward, but he's going to give away his position. He can hear himself in the debris of that Selma charge. Hixer finds one, but it might be purely in vain. Pre-fires all around. The offensive Valors doesn't even know where to look, and they look in the wrong direction and eventually are felled. What an incredible angle through the pre-made holes of the rafters. Not from here, able to take another round and starting to tie us up here on map 1.
Right now, it's that attacking side with really what you have, because I believe the defender side, you can really play these angles, choose to take your gunfights. Valor GG, they really took that to the extreme, with the Vigil, the Mozzie, absolutely able to deny the passive intel that the attackers were able to gain with the extra person, the extra droning, everything like that. But now that the sides have swapped, it's making it so much harder, because the attack has so much more to lose than the defense. The defense has time. They have, these default cameras that they don't need to set up like drones. So it's something that the attackers, sadly, Valor GG, they really can't exactly prepare for it. Like, this defending side don't automatically get in some sort of advantage. So I'm hoping that with what they have, they're not really swapping up any operator lineups. They're just, sticking with the Flores, the Zofia, the Yana, and the Ace. That as we go on over to the master bedroom side, I'm hoping that we'll see Flinties take the piano very, very easily. I don't want to say easily, but very well done with, draining the Jaeger ADS, draining the shield and something like that, because I want to see their mechanical skill just shown off to the world.
To rub salt onto the wound, Clash has entered into the lobby. Oh no, Light Rose. What is a worse BM strategy, a bad manner strategy, than bringing out a Clash in a 1v4? I mean, it's just impossible to deal with, because we've been hyping up the lack of utility for Valorous and how critical it's going to be for them. Every single thing Valorous does, it is going to be just slowed down, since they're just missing one of their compadres. It's more difficult for them to negotiate through utility. And now you have a giant plexiglass shield that tases you into absolute oblivion. There could be some silver lining, though. Storms has drone his way up into Ego Balcony and is staring straight into the opposite side. He might be able to get a gifted 2 kills. There's his 1 kill. He can see the other one, but unable to line it up. Now Valor's, for the first time their attacking stint, will have that man advantage.
And right now, with Tones just hanging out, trying to get a refrag of any sort of kind, as Flinty is really heading on up, is right now they're going to head into Library, not ready just to take the engagement just yet, as the roam is called out. They're definitely not going to be caught with their pants down twice, as it's still the kitchen pings are coming out, the yellow pings trying to really root out Raptors. You just see the drone is able to catch them running away, and now they know that this first floor is a little bit safer to use, and that's why they're going to start really opening this up, trying to get access into the site. So, but still, that Clash is really going to be hard to deal with.
4 players in Valor's are in the lobby. 4 players were currently just on drone. I think they have just quadruple checked that, yes, indeed, There's a clash in play. Now, how do you deal with it? We've been saying that Zofia can burn her own ADSs, and she's going to now be forced to do so. Flinties rotates on over into the elbow connector of Piano, using the angles that Not From Here already set up. One of the explosive drones go out. It's going to deal with the deployable shield. A swing on through, but Tones was prepared to deal with it, keeping us Clash in this series for another stint.
And right now Flinties only has one more stun, and the communication needs to be there to try to deal with the clash because there's only one more frag grenade as well for Hixer to deal with, and with ADS, magnets, everything, just the chance of dealing with a clash is just slowly diminishing and wallowing away. And the longer she stays alive, the more power she is given. You can see more power, but she's taken out. A great flank by Flinties, and now things have opened wide up for Valor's GG as Hawks getting close to starting to defuse that right away. And now with 10 seconds left, they are going to start to plan it. No real way to deal with it as the shotgun shell, it's going to be able to take out Hawks in just the nick of time, as Hixer's going to have no way to get the diffuser or win it out on frags. And there, Valor's still not able to find anything on their attacking side, despite that round probably being the closest they have come.
What a good round for Valor's. They tried their hardest. They're able to get the opening kill. They use the map dynamics that Not From Here you set up in the prep phase. All those murder holes, all the giant holes for Clash to walk her plexiglass shield on forward. They saw it, and they used it against the defense. Perfectly done. Great crossfires as well to deal with the Clash in the dying seconds of the round. The one mistake that Valor's did that round was they didn't put enough emphasis on saving the diffuser carrier, saving the Hawks, who was putting that diffuser on the ground. It's 7 seconds, but honestly, Light Rose, that 7 seconds feels like 7 hours. It takes so long for the diffuser to go down, especially when an SMG-11 bro is trying to swing you. Hixer decided it would be in his best interest to hold the flank from underneath, and I can't fault him for making that decision. However, since you and I have that God vision, since we have that top-down view, we could see that Not From Here was nowhere to be seen other than directly on that bomb site, going for that linear defending execute, just swinging that planter holder. And that puts into question, where was Valor's drones? Did they have any flank drones to be seen? Because at a portion of that round, 4 drones went towards half full at the exact same time. Honestly, that's kind of an unacceptable mistake to have if you're Valor's GG. Again, they're playing at a man disadvantage, but you have to just use your default droning strategies that you would do if you were in a traditional 5v5. Have one of those droners walk his drone over to Solar Stairs, so that way Hixer doesn't have to be recalled off covering the planter, and he doesn't have to go over to flank watch duty. As you mentioned, it was the best attacking round from Valor's GG. They really were able to flex their muscles, flex their ability to click heads, but they're just struggling simply because they start the round off in a bad place.
And I think, Flinty's trying to get a very, very early pick here, going up these West Main stairs. They're going in kitchen already, and being very, very aggressive probably is going to help them rather than hurt them, because taking Not From Here off guard, using the great droning skills. I know we just talked about the lack of drones, but entry drones, I think, have definitely helped Valor GG when it comes to getting, Flinties or Storms, Hawks, somebody this opening kill. And already we're seeing the Piano taken over, and this second floor, we're already a minute and 30 seconds in, and Valor's GG have taken good map control, but right now I think these drones are starting to go out. They want to definitely point out where, Stab is, Raptor is, all of these secondary roamers are, so that they can take them out with ease. We're getting to the time where, we're see Flinties, Hawks, and take these engagements. So already Tones being taken out, that's a really, really big pick, as Tones has been an extremely important factor in winning these rounds.
I just want to back up to the drone topic for 1 second. The droning from Valor's is incredible. I mean, very few teams are doing a single drone. Valor's was going for a quadruple drone, and you don't need that many drones at the end of the day, but I have to applaud a roster for putting so much emphasis into droning. It's a great step, but maybe a little bit too much emphasis into droning. But hey, I mean, if you've ever played ranked before, you know that nobody will ever drone you in, so clearly Valor's GG is the best team to have ever entered into a comp match or into, a ranked match, because they're actually willing to help out their teammates with droning, but maybe a little bit too willing to do so. Nonetheless, though, Valor's has control of the top side. Hixer's going to drop. That's just his hologram. He's going to gather information. He knows a frostbat is in play over by the west default window. Flinties is able to deal with it, and now here comes the vertical play. Oh no, Flinties doesn't have flat place breaching charges, so he's going to have to expend all of his impact grenades, and if there's any utility on the site, any deployable shield, that's going to cost him dearly.
Yeah, and actually the arms were able to be seen, but sadly Flinty's just there. The focus was not over on there. They're trying to root out this person all the way over in that kind of Harry Potter pantry closet, and it's still, we're getting to 15 seconds, and there's still four members of, no, in the drop they hatch, they get caught, and that's gonna be a huge detriment. The staff's gonna be able to find one. The diffuser is dropped. Look, Oryx has the ability to grab onto Hatch, is definitely not an attacker. It's actually a 1v1. It's only Raptor and Storm's alive, but still not able to find Raptor, not from home. The massive drop from the Hatch, somehow, I don't know how, Valor's was actually able to survive the initial back, but they were actually close to winning that.
What on earth happened?
I don't know what happened. It seemed like they dropped, but they went prone at the same time, and they went prone before they dropped, I think.
Hoax gets the opening kill that round. Onto Tones. Great play for the primary support, the primary hard breacher. Tones is a monster, to say the least. And for him to get shut down by an also phenomenal player on hard breach, so excellently done by Valor's. And a good time management skills, I have to say, for Valor's. Until the dying seconds of the round, they decide to go for the hatch drop. I don't know if, Discord was caused when Flinties was unable to drop the hatch, but for whatever reason, it seemed like everybody from Valor's just had to stop. They had a mini heart attack, and then they went for their execute. And I think that caused, Hawks to say, oh no, I just need to sprint into the split connector. He would have been better off just immediately dropping, going gun up, holding the position, allowing for his friends to drop the hatch. But even if he did that, he probably would have still lost his life, not only to maybe a nitrous cell from behind, a wide swing from split from the flank from Mozzie coming in through library side. So many critical factors took place in that course of 5 seconds for Valor's. And again, the problem was, it's just the man disadvantage. You can't establish cutoffs. You can't establish flanks good enough to allow that style of play. Valor is a team that wants to be aggressive, but kind of losing one of their limbs at the bat is just hurting them a little bit too much.
And now going to the site that I think the roam from Tones really hurt Valor's. We saw them, they were really setting up, with drones, with smoke canister, trying to destroy all the utility, but now the flank from Tones just simply shut that all down. And we see Valor's, they're really trying to make sure that something like that does not happen. They're droning out the second floor, wanting to make sure if anybody is up there. And yep, Staff is up there. They are alone. And actually, no, they've got help from Raptor as well. So a lot of utility is actually dedicated to that second floor. And I don't know if Valor's really has the manpower or the utility of themselves to take it out, simply because they don't have the ability to get a secondary hard breacher or a secondary soft breacher, something like that. So they really have to be very, very finicky where they use it. And now that Mute Jammer, Flinties has to use one of their own breaches. And now we just see Stab has the ability to take out Flinties from the vertical play. And so, yeah, you lose your own one of your own soft destructor, and now that Stab is down, you might be able to enter Master Bedroom, but still, you lost a lot trying to get that Mute Jammer gone.
Storms has had some incredibly ballsy plays on that Ego balcony door frame. The second time he swung that position, has gotten a free kill. However, that trade is not exactly what the offensive Valor's require, because they're still not in control of this round in the man count department. Hexer attempting to open up the wall with his frag grenade. The Mute Jammer is causing quite a pickle for this roster. Flashbangs go out, frag grenade as well, allowing for that rotation in to that mid-floor execute. However, 60 seconds left. Top floor is not in control of Valor's, and the middle floor isn't either. A long-range gunfight. Hixer is going to be felled from that position. 2 members of the Valor roster now left, and the only thing that they can do is brain that Not From Here starts to play very aggressive and use the long-range ACOG advantage that the attackers have.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they know they're on match point, and why risk being aggressive when your team is already doing well? You have a 2-man advantage and only 30 seconds left, but if Hawks is able to find Encrypts and be inside the site, even though the camera is spotting them, and use that shatter that now is given on over to these defenders, or these attackers, excuse me, the diffuser might be able to go down, as flashbang is going to indicate that Storms is to be here, but Tones blind as a bat is able to find Storms, and Hawks, knowing somebody is somewhere, is able to find a double kill for themselves. But still, with 7 seconds left, the diffuser is either going to have to go down, and that's exactly what is going to happen, as both of these defenders know that somebody is planting, and there it is. Hawks not even going to take a death. They're going to run away, and Not From Here winning the 4v5. It was a little scary at the beginning, but I think they're able to stick it out when it came to that defensive side.
Yeah, the defense, the saving grace for Valor's GG. Taking their 4 rounds there, but on attack, they just were lacking. It shows. This map requires a lot of steps. There's a lot of mini games, and there's a lot of puzzles that the attacking rosters just need to deal with. And when you don't have a friend to help you, you're minus one of your friends, it just becomes a task that was a little bit too unbearable for Valor's. But midway through, we did see one of the players of Valor say, hey, Badger's now actually able to play this game. So we could see map number 2 start to normalize, and it could be back to exactly what we would expect. However, Light Rose, there is one caveat to that. Map number 1, Chalet, was a Valor's map pick. So moving forward, Not From Here is going to have the advantage as we enter into map number 2 of Villa.
But I think Valor's actually is going to be able to get a 5th for Villa, and I think that could honestly, yay, we're going to actually be able to play a normal game. That could honestly be the difference for Valor's able to get at least 1 win today, because they looked really good on the defensive side despite being down a person. So if they get a person, they might be even stronger on that defensive side, and their attacks might be able to compensate for, that inability to even get a single round on that first map. But Villa might be a whole different story, but I think we're just going to have to wait to see.
Yeah, the kill spread for Valor's was incredibly close. Flinties, I believe, was a kill leader with 9 kills, and I think Hixer was the bottom frag at 7 kills, which means everybody from Valor's did exactly what they needed to. They stepped up, they got their picks, they won their gunfights, but just unable to win some of those also crucial. And even some of those attacks, boy, were they close. Down to 1v1s, down to 1v2s. It was by a hair margin that Valor's lost that round. So I actually have some really high hopes for map number 2 for Villa. Again, Valor's probably is the favorite team entering into Canadian Contenders League, but we'll have to see if that theme actually ends up panning out. And make sure you tune in to map number 2. That'll be taking place in about 5 minutes. Keep this Twitch tab open. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be back soon.
starting now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready.
Hello once again. It seems like we've been back on your screen so many times today. It's been a revolving door of technical problems, but I think we've addressed everything, and we saw a great map number 1. What a way to start off, week 1, our first ever season here in Canadian Contenders League. But some shining lights for Valor. They have finally confirmed their 5th player. He's now back into the server. So we're actually going to have a real match, won't we, Lightrez?
Yeah, and I think Valor's definitely have something to prove because despite last map being 4v5, it's a lot closer than Not From Here would like. It was 4-7. Actually, Valor's GG was not able to get a single attacking round, and that might have been due in part that it was a 4v5. So as we now get that final 5th member who is going to be Badger, if they did not get a sub, but getting Badger now, I think elevates Valor's GG to the point where I am expecting them to win this map despite it not being their map pick, because what I saw on that first map, getting another member, I just think it elevates them to the point where it's going to be very, very hard to beat them.
Yeah, sometimes we would see Not From Here just either miss drone or not really coordinate the execute on some of those roamers, particularly Flinties, who was able just to post himself up in a position where he was kind of playing to die, and he'd be able to get multiple kills, and eventually somebody from the attacking roster, Not From Here, would address him and eventually kill him. But it took way too long, and as you mentioned, now that it's a 5 stack, Flinties can be able to do that with help, and maybe you can bring out an information operator as well. We saw Valkyrie be banned in map number 1, but if she slips her way through Villa, if Flinties has information to go on a swing, whether or not it's a bulletproof, a Maestro camera, or a Valkyrie camera, he is going to be a terror in the server.
I honestly expect Valkyrie to be banned in Villa. Because I mean, she is not only strong overall, but Villa has the ability, you know, to a little bit of mask her cameras as well. So to have her go off the board, I think is absolutely expected. But I'm wondering whether we're going to get some sort of Nomad ban, some sort of Jackal ban, everything like that, because, you know, Villa is a very, very roam heavy map the way it's set up. So we saw a lot of roam last map, and to Valor's GG, whether they want to bring out something to, you know, stop some roamers on the side of not from here, but just something to, you know, help them on their attacking sides.
Well, Thatcher, the one that EMP'd our server and caused all of our technical problems. First ban, surprise, surprise. Nobody's ever seen that one before. But now the secondary attacker ban, that's going to be up in the air because you can remove a hard breacher, particularly a ranged hard breacher. Selma Charge and Kyra will be advised, but you can also remove somebody who brings extra utility. That will not be the case for Valor's, as Jackal once again will be banned. And honestly, Light Rose, I couldn't see Jackal being a factor at all during map number 1. And once again, I can't really see him being that big of a factor entering into map number 2, simply because it's the opportunity cost of Jackal. Who are you going to give up to bring out a Jackal? You're going to need to either run a combination of Zofia, Ashe, and Iana, and as well as somebody on a flank watch. Usually that's a flex support operator is going to take on that role of Jackal, but we saw how good both of these rosters were at lurking up Chalet stairwells, and now that we're on Villa, that style of play is going to be amplified.
Kaid getting banned, I think, is a little bit typical of Villa. You know, we just see Trophy, we see Aviator. These are sites that Kaid is really able to find great Electro Claw placements. So him going off the board is not very unusual. So Bandit or Mute is going to have to be played to really stop these hard breachers from getting absolute unfettered access to the site. And so right now with, actually, no, it is not Badger. It's going to be Shu who is going to be back as well. And with, you know, starting on Aviator and Games, this is going to be an important round because this is Valor's, we see them on the attacking side. And as I mentioned, they did not get a single attacking round last map. And if that trend continues, we might see a very, very quick match. But, you know, with Shu being back in the lineup, the ability to get some sort of anti-flank operator, you know, with a Nomad and a Sledge, something like that, this could be a game changer for Valor's and actually allow them to win their first attacking round this match.
Oh, Tones is going to start to recycle some poison strategies from his time on Synthetic. This is the exact same mirror window that Synthetic was running every single time mirror was allowed through the ban wave on Villa. And it worked out very well, simply because the defense was allowed real-time information on what was taking place on their bomb sites in the 2 primary planting spots. Whether or not the offense was planting maps, that weird little table in the east room, or behind the gun vault door. That mirror window will be able to catch everything that's taking place, and that will also allow the defenders to precisely land where their utility is flying. Because when you hear the plant going down over in that B site, you really don't know if it's a maps plant, you don't know if it's a gun vault plant. You can kind of triangulate where the attackers are playing, what cutoffs they have to say, oh, it looks like more gun barrels are making sure we don't swing in from the zombie door. Maybe that just means that it's going to be a maps plant. You can kind of use your brain to figure it out, but still not a guaranteed answer. So now that mirror window will be 100% real-time information. Even if Valor's goes for a push underneath in through library and removes a glass panel, it'll still provide real-time information. VT is in a bad position. He just got thrown out by the hologram, and it's a 3-man swing up the main stairs. VT just instantly removed.
Yeah, that was actually a really good play initially from VT's, able to take out the hologram and actually go away before Flinties was able to confirm the kill. But the re-peek combined with 3 people, you're not going to win that anytime soon. So right now, NFH, they are going to start on the losing end of the frag game, but Tone's actually going to replace them on that red stairs. They're going to try to provide a little area of their own to stop them, but Encrypt's actually is going to have to back up, as well as the great droning from Hawks to indicate exactly the Smoke's position. We touted the praise of Valor's GG's drones, and right there, 2 frags, one for Shu and one for Storms, as things seem a little different, as Raptors actually going to be able to find the first kill, and it's going to be a cheeky little run out as Tones finds one of their own, but still, they're on about 70 HP. A minute left in the drone, finally taken out to a massive source of info going down as Shu is going to be injured. Right now, a minute left, and still Storm's finding the first kill in the first round of the attacking side for them. As Valor's, this definitely looks like a different team than what we saw last map.
This is what I expect on the attack for Valor's. That was very textbook for them, very calculated, and good overall team play. Light Rose, you're highlighting the strengths of that Iona clone from Shu. That was such a genius play. And you mentioned how VT played it perfectly. He absolutely did. He just can't never predict that there's 3 attackers flooding him on through. He knew that somebody would follow up that drone or follow up that clone. So he relocates the other side of the shield. And then when there's just a wall of lead, there's no way he can peek, because the attackers did something that every attacking team should coordinate, and it's very difficult to do. One says, I got the right side of the shield. The other one gets left side, and somebody gets the pop-up jack-in-a-box play. No matter what that player behind the shield did, he would have popped his head into a crosshair, and he loses his life. After that, Valor's apply more and more pressure to the bottom side. It forces Not From Here to get aggressive and start to swing, and it even forced them to go for, just the full risk runouts, a 50-50 gun out running in from washrooms downstairs. It was able to get a kill, but since everybody from Valor's was still lurking more or less in the library, a wallbang kill. And then Tones, instrumental player, very familiar with that strategy. He's been in that position before back on Synthetic, but Valor's starting to eat up, unable to now deal with that. Round 2 is going to be a bomb site rotation from Not From Here, as they're going to go for a different style of play. Mirror windows looking deep into coat, as well as a hold from underneath to make sure the attackers don't have that vertical pressure to deal with the mirror windows early on.
I see Valor's GG going for more of that kind of aviator games take, with the master bedroom already Stav getting taken down or injured very, very early, as Raptor's going to be able to try to refrag, and they are going to be able to revive Stav. It's a very early mistake, luckily nullified to an extent. Obviously, Stav going to be on that 20 HP threshold, but still, it's a gun, it's a C4. They're still going to be able to do something to really help out, and it's Flinties who's pushing on up. The help with the drone is just so... It's great. It's something that Valor's is just so good at. It's drone. You see 2 following Raptor around, and there, the third shot, 3rd time's the charm, is Raptor's going to be able to take them out, as it's Storms, actually, who finishes out Stav, and just Valor's, they're being so aggressive, and it is due in part to their droning, their ability to really back that up with their own frag, and it's why Valor's they're just such a good team when it comes down to it, when everything just comes together.
Honestly, it's Valor's that looks like a hunting pack of raptors. And fun fact for you, Light Rose, did you know that raptors are the size of chickens? And it's been all the dinosaur movies that have ruined raptors. The dinosaur they use starts with an A, and it's not a raptor.
Aren't those called compies?
Compies? What's a compy?
Yeah. They're little baby dinosaurs. They're really cute. Although they will eat you, but, so can a cat. So,
So can a cat? Honestly, a lot of animals can eat you. And Shu is going to do the exact same thing. He's going to eat up in this round, finding his first kill. More rounds of frag grenades going up. Over towards a deer bomb slide, potentially trying to remove this deployable shield. It just falls short, which is going to allow Raptors to still play in this position. He has so much coverage here. He has a shield, he has the bomb chassis, and the deer itself. And that means Valor's going to have to drone out the position and deal with it quickly. A well-placed frag grenade. VT is going to survive it, but he's not going to be on much HP. Raptor's going to lose some HP as well to a second string of frags, but not actually removing any players from Not From Here is going to cost Valor's in the long run.
Stones is going to start firing in burst, and they're not going to be able to actually finish off Flinties, and now they're going to be able to be revived, and it's very, very close to a flawless round as VT is going to find the only frag so far for Not From Here as flashbangs ringing out, and the rest of Valors know exactly where this smoke is. You see Nomad, the gun barrel is pointed on over, so VT's is the chance of waiting this out is essentially 0.0. As there we go, Hixer's gonna swing that, and Valor's just looking so strong on their attacking side, despite this map not being their pick.
It's the pressure that Valorous is applying to every inch of Villa. It starts off with their planes and games control. Sure, they're able to get it down for free as they just sprayed through the green barricade. Some unfortunate chap from Not From Here, that was the mute, ended up getting down but not out. Allowed to be res, but 20 HP is a very difficult hold for them. He immediately rotated back, keeping his lone compadre on the mirror window, unable to waste time since Flinties came in through U-Bar. And then after that, the entire hold from Not From Here was compromised. They had their troops over the bomb sites, playing behind deployable shields, also isolated over in Master Bathroom and into Blue. But you can't hold those positions very well. As soon as the attackers are able to break down one of the power positions using frag grenades from below, the only option that Not From Here has is to rotate down on that first floor and start to nitrocell denial from underneath, because there's no way they're going to break down the cross coverage of the attackers. It seems like, though, Not From Here is going to try the exact same thing they did in the previous round. Mirror windows look more or less the same, but what they need to do is they need to deny entry of the drones sooner rather than later. If Valorous has access to U-Bar off the rip, that mirror window to the south side of the map will be null.
Yeah, Valor's, I kind of expect the same type of take simply because it was so efficient. First, they're able to down stab, and unluckily, they're not actually able to finish them off, but still, just the ability to drone out Flinties, drone out Storms, everybody just goes so quickly in, and you're already seeing Flinties going on in, helping with Shu, having that Gemini clone as well. They just have so much intel, and they're able to utilize it so well, and you see the library trying to avoid any precarious member that's just hanging around, and Flinties being so very, very aggressive already, and I just can't see a way that Not From Here, if they're not heads up with their play and just extremely aware, that they're really going to be able to deny Flinties.
Push on up through 9. SMG11 will give a one-tap pre-fire. And Flinties is in from behind. He's already in gunfold. He used the pre-made rotation from Not Here against the offsite pressure over towards the south. A great play. You were just highlighting their droning mechanics already being shown. And honestly, what it looks like from Valorous, their attacks are all pretty, vanilla. They're all run-of-the-mill, but what Valorous does well is their basic mechanics, whether or not it's, the gunplay or the droning. They make their attacks look easy because everybody is on the exact same wavelength. They're all coordinating amongst themselves, and now, once again, Valorous has controlled the south side of the map in the first 60 seconds of the round.
I think we talk about how, the basics of Siege is just like, drone in, win your gunfights, easy, win game. And obviously it's a lot harder than that, but Valor's UG really, it looks that easy to them. They're so good with their mechanical skill, just that complemented of just the, drone in, drone your fraggers in. It all works so well in tandem, and Tones, no! Just above the head of Flinties and not able to confirm that, as it's going to allow the rest of Valor's to go on. It is a 2v1, as once again, it's just VT with a great shot onto Shu, and it's Hawks versus VTs as Diffuser not in the Ace's hands. They know the precise positioning of the smoke, but with 2 canisters left, they have the ability to really delay the amount of time that Hawks has. As you see that smoke canister going to be used for the first time, as Hawks is still going to stick that. One smoke canister actually don't believe is going to be reached them, as Hawks is staying in the corner right by the diffuser as the second canister is going down, and it's going to actually relay just where Hawks is, but they're going to be able to sprint all the way over to the bomb site, but it's not going to do enough damage as VTs has to reload the small magazine of the SMGs. Just hurts them so much. They're going to go straight through the smoke and try hopefully to try to get that diffuser down as Hawks on lower HP actually than BT for the first time around. They're going to try to fake out the diffuser, try to get that fake plant, but 16 seconds left. BT's going to stick it. Hawks has to get to it. There's 1 second left, and they're not going to be able to get it. Just a millisecond away from finding the head of the smoke. And you see those tracers, those blood splatters, not from here, winning their first defensive round on a close match.
Heartbreaking defeat for Valor's, but they were their own worst enemy in that round. Valor's had a 5v2 site execute that was converted into a 1v1. We're saying that the mechanics of Valor's, their basic understanding of the game was phenomenal, but they just started to rush things. Flinty's had a wonderful execute on the south side of the map. He converted into an even better execute directly into the stat site, but then he played too aggressive. Mims of Valor started to line up, and it allowed Not From Here to get not the advantage, but get closer to the advantage. And then Valor's still swinging for the fence, still taking on gunfights, ended up losing more of their roster count. What we needed to see from Valor's is you just have your planter go into the default plant, set themselves up for crossfires. And the way you could do them is maybe making a rotation over to the east side of the map through Master. This way you can have a two-pronged rotation. And even better yet, the split where the two bomb sites are connected, this kind of green corridor where Raptor just walked his way on through, was pre-opened due to the mirror window strategy that Tones employed. It was a free crossfire, a free cutoff for Valor's, but since they moved too fast, they elected to not use the given power positions of the defenders. We're highlighting that there's a 20 or a 60-second execute to get to the footholds, the thresholds of the bomb site. Why not use the remaining 2 minutes as an asset if you're an attacker?
Is the Chalet map area, is that like in like a Nordic country?
It's in the Swiss Alps.
Or the
French Alps. The French
okay,
Alps.
because I was like, if it was in England, then we would have had a literal Italy and England match perfectly correlating with the Euro finals that are happening tomorrow. If I don't know if any North American person cares about the Euro, but it was just very interesting to me to see that Italian. But Flinty's already, they're actually going to, very rare miss for Flinty's there actually, is they're going to be the first person down. A Stab looking to really add another kill onto their own roster, but they're going to take the smart move and absolutely evacuate the area. They've done their due diligence, and that's take out the main fragger of Valor's GG. As Flinty's now are relegated to just watching their own teammates.
Where were the dronings from Valor's? Because they knew that there would be pressure below in Library. Why? Because Not From Here has played in those positions before. You have to take the lessons that you've learned from previous rounds. Whether or not it's success or a loss, it really doesn't matter. What you need to do is just say, hey, since there's defenders here once, there is a possibility of defenders being here again. And your boy on the roam is going to be returning once again. Now lurking down the red stairs, a potential gunfight taking place over on the library side. And Storms also knows he's in a position to take a gunfight. He's playing the pre-made murder holes of Not From Here. And if they decide to peek those positions, the SMG-11 in the offense might be able to find one. There's a refrag that Flinty's was unable to achieve early on. Shu's now able to get that. But not a lot of time left in this round, 65 seconds, and the attackers are now just starting to knock on the doors of the bomb site.
Yeah, Hawks, they're able to open certain areas and sites, really deny information, especially from Tones, from Raptors, from anybody else who's really just hanging out in the bomb site. And that could absolutely be crucial because now you look at, and Crips is going to have to back off due to those Habana X Kairos, and one smoke canister left, and the plant still has yet to go down, and that's going to be very, very important. There are 3 C4s in the pockets of these defenders, and that might be really the antithesis when it comes to really trying to deny these plants or these attackers from entering the bomb site. It's just how much explosive power and plans now they have. As it's Storms who finds the opening kill onto Raptor, and that might be the entry onto the site. As now with 15 seconds left, they have to make some sort of entry. And these mirror windows and C4s are already denied. And Stab, who finds a second for their own, and Storms, who finds a second of their own as it's Shu just left, and Tones already 3 seconds left. They have to find the person in the ball, and it's Shu finishing off an extremely close round. Once again, these rounds are just 1 kill away from really swinging match for both of these teams.
Valor's just had no care in the world during that round. They said, all right, 4v4 execute, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let me just push on forward. It really didn't matter that Flint's was the opening death there because Not From Here didn't actually really gain much from it. They weren't able to hold map control because the player roaming and library side was forced to rotate away practically instantly. And it gives Valors the opportunity to start vertical construction from underneath and start to remember some of the well-held positions from Not From Here. That's why we saw them starting to stack up over by maps, over by Couch's side. And when that took place, why did it Not From Here elect to open up the mirror windows? Sure, we saw one of the players using the black mirror on the other side as kind of just a reinforced wall, but since Valors were on the, seeable side of that mirror window, they knew exactly where that player was. Open up that mirror window, and now you can kind of use it as a deployable shield. Jack in a box, you're up. You show your forehead, you show your gun barrel, you shoot a bit, and then you relocate to a different position. And the end parts of that round, Not From Here, just wasn't coordinating amongst themselves. They weren't really having that dialogue. Who's holding what? Let's coordinate our utility. Furthermore, when we saw the smoke grenades from Not From Here, the last round of smoke grenades went out at the 30-second mark in that round. There were 3 nitro cells. You could have nitro celled every 10 seconds, but they were never sent down range.
I think players are just really hesitant to open up the mirror windows because you get a really big advantage with the mirror window being on your side. A black mirror, it's something that, a person could be behind this or a person couldn't. And I think that's something that losing it is just a very big thing. And already these mute jammers are doing great work, is shutting down 2 drones, one of them being that RC Rotero. So already a decent start for Not From Here. And
wow.
just as I say that, VT taken down and Valor's already in the sight.
Not the first time Valor's rushed, but the last time they did is they fell flat on their flanks. Flinties with full control, but Diffuser is lost over on Laundry. That's a critical mistake for Valor's. They should have been more mindful of that Diffuser, and Raptors is now playing it from above. The rush stopped dead in the tracks, and Valor's has to find a new strategy on the fly. Most likely to become from pushing from above, leave the kitchen bomb site, and now trying to execute upstairs. All you really need to do is open up one of those windows. Hixer's able to retrieve it. Raptors had bad coverage from above, and now the plant is starting to be initiated. Raptors are going to go for his drop. He looks over towards the Tetra side, a default plant, but that's not where the diffuser was selected. It's over on the pantry side, and now Not From Here. It's really going to have to be From Here, because they're going to have to retake the bomb site.
2 members in Pantries. Raptors just going to miss the head of Shu, and that's going to be huge misses right now. They have to back up. They're going to drop on below and not be able to finish the kill onto Shu. Oh my god, that was a great play in the making, but not able to finish it out, and just 10 seconds left really to get on the Diffuser. And Valors, the rush, slowing down in the middle, but in the end, finishing it off and still looking much stronger on their attacks.
Great drone work from Valor's, even able to bypass those mute jammers, understanding the bomb site was clear. Great entry frag from our Sledge. Storms able to take that gunfight, opening up the kitchen site wide, allowing for the insertion to come from. But I do need to be critical. Valor's won that round. Excellent on them. But they won it because Hixer was allowed to pick up the diffuser over by Jukebox. Honestly, that mistake for Valor's was unacceptable. There's no way that they should ever make that mistake. Also, for Raptors, unable to hold that diffuser from above, he had the perfect angle. Not sure if he got pre-fired and was forced to fall away or why he stopped holding that. It blows my mind. He was also playing a Rooney. Why doesn't he Thunder Punch above the diffuser? He knows it's there. Set up multiple angles in which his, team could hold the diffuser from above. Again, it just seems like Not From Here. One of the big mistakes they make is they don't have good internal dialogue between themselves, or at least they're not showing it to me because I can't see them holding, crossfires. The way they set themselves up, they're always having multiple people look at the same way, like a team that just doesn't communicating. Again, simple mistakes were made by Not From Here.
I love you calling it a Thunder Punch. I've never heard that. And
what is it called? Honestly, I have no idea what it's called.
I just call it a punch. Like, I think when people hear you talking about a Rooney, that obviously any punch is going to make that, but I've just never heard it called the Thunder Punch, like it's like a different ability.
Because it is. Because I always call it like punching, like a softball, right? Like every operator can do it. You knife it, you have your bullet hole, your punch hole, right? That's what it's called. It's a punch hole. But she has a super punch hole, and it doesn't have a name. Thunder Punch, trademarked. Suck it.
I really want them to give the Thunder Punch to Oryx as well, because that was he's a very beefy boy, and he has the ability to zoom. He's got hops. He has the ability to punch. I want him the ability to punch holes in walls, but already Stab being the opening death, is they haven't had much luck really staying alive in a decent chunk of these rounds. And right now they are out as well, and very, very early in this round, so that's a C4 off the board. But Stab right now, it's just communication that really all they can dedicate themselves to, along with Tone. So that's 2 C4s now that are gone. So all that's really left for Planta now, you've got a C4 and 2 smoke canisters, and as we've seen, there's not much that's really dedicated to that.
Wow. Valor's making round 6 attacking execute into planes and games look easy. There's your 2 smoke grenades off the board, and it's all on Raptors. A 1v5 for him. A swing into study won't even find him that kill, as Shu will be able to claim that. A 5-1 attacking half on map number 1 of Chalet. Valorous was unable to even find a round. Now 5 unanswered rounds from Not From Here on attack. A side switch currently taking place. And is this map just attacker sided? Is Not From Here going to start to run up the scoreboard just like their opponents? Or is it Valor's, now with access to all their troops in the server, really starting to show their strengths?
Yeah, and so 1 round away from hitting match points. And that's going to be a very, very important thing. And Aviator Games is where we're going to go. We're seeing the same thing Valor's is bringing on the same side that Not From Here was bringing. We're seeing that Goyo, that Mira, and everything, with the SAS twins. And sadly, not a Glass, even though that'd be very, very fun to see with the smoke canisters and everything. Glass has no place in the current Rainbow Six Siege meta, and I don't think he has for a very, very long time.
Tell the comp player DragonDaddy.uwu, who only plays Glass and makes it work out well.
I'll make sure to talk to DragonDaddy.uwu.
I mean, hey, if he can make it work, anybody who can make it work, right? I mean, but you're right. Glass is just utterly doo-doo. It's nice to see him, grab banana people. And it's nice that he, when isn't in smoke, you can always see his banana people. And if you're confused by what banana people means, Glass is a thermic optic scope, but it's not a traditional thermal where, you kind of have the ghost-like white outlines. They are giant yellow shapes, hence the term banana people. But we're talking about a point that isn't even relevant since Tones was sensible and brought out Sledge. Frag grenades are going to be so crucial. I guess Glass technically does have frags, but most people are bringing smokes with him. Drones starting to go down range from Not From Here, clearing out the north side of the map, currently unoccupied from Valor's, who's not just a linear defense by putting all their eggs in one basket, lurking on the site itself, but off-site pressure underneath. So the offense style that Valor's was bringing out, the clearing in through library, doing the vertical clear, well, that's going to be a new minigame from Not From Here. They're going to have to deal with it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and Stev is trying to be like the Flinties with the assistance of the drones, trying to get a really, really early pick onto Valor's, but the problem is I was going to say the drones, but right now you did see kind of a drone go forward that is Raptors along with the drone, I believe, of Encrypt. So the drones are coming through, but the problem is Stab isn't behind them. There's nobody really right next to the drone ready to get that frag. And now that Stab is starting to push up along with BT, the drone is gone and the information is dry. And that's, I think, the difference between Not From Here and Valor's is Flinties is very aggressive in the fact that they will stay right next to the drone, but that does help them in the fact that they will get that kill, and no gun needed right there as they're going to stab right in the back and along with VT. And we mentioned before this map, Flinty's just ready to die, and they get the 2, and suddenly it's a 5v2, especially with the kill from Hawks there.
I think in the industry we would call this an oof right now. Tone's able to get a kill on the Flinties and you spot the leg! Shoot the leg! Thank you! Hawks are now off the board. I was about to have an aneurysm there. Oh, that could have been a huge misplay. Too aggressive for Hawks, but he's now been dealt with. Tones and Encrypts, the only ones left for their attacking roster. 45 seconds left in this round, attempting to push on forward. Doesn't matter what drones are in favor of the attackers, since there's mute jammers on the other side. Flashbangs go out from the zombie door, but all that does is send a smoke grenade from Valor's GG in return. There's more utility rolling its way on forward, but is yet to actually soften up the defense. Encrypts needs to start to make a play. The problem is he's on below so little HP. Tones against cycled his way through by the Mossberg, and Storms from behind lurking up through 90. Not quite a flawless round for Valor's GG, but boy, was it close to being won.
Yeah, and at this point, it just seems like this entire map is just in Valor's GG's control. The only time we've seen Not From Here win it out was a 1v1 post plan, and essentially a mistake from Valor's GG that, not killing that diffuser in time, but still, this is probably the closest we'll have to a next to flawless match, a 7-1. I am gonna predict that Valor's GG is going to win this trophy stat retake, because Ella going on over to the mute. Hawks has just been deadly with the MP5K. He just doesn't seem to miss, both with their positioning and their gunfights, and it's just that the information, even once they swap to the defensive side, the ability to gain their own intelligence, not from drones or cameras, just their own surroundings, is just unparalleled when you compare it to Not From Here.
I have to say, Light Rose, how refreshing it is to see Mira in play. She's a very strong operator. We always talk about how impressive she can be, but Villa allows her this perfect balance where she will cut off a lane. She'll make sure that it's impossible for the attacking lineup to push through this avenue, but since practically the entire floor is soft, it's all wood, you can remove a mirror window from underneath. All you need to do is have a 2-floor execute, good drones, and a good understanding of map knowledge, and the mirror windows can be shut down. And it's very nice to see teams, understanding that concept both on attack and defense. Almost a copy and paste version of the Not From Here mirror window strategy, the one looking over into code, as well as the one looking into study. However, the study pressure is going to be just a smidge different, since we're going to have a hyper-aggressive Storms playing tucked close into what I refer to as JJ, because every time and just removes everybody because they forget to drone it.
I'm looking at the Storm's gun barrel, and I'm literally like, oh, what kind of gun is that? No, it's the 416C, and with the new 3D gun skins. And right now, you mentioned it, the lack of a drone as Raptor and BT go down. And it is a 3v3, but you still think that Not From Here are definitely on the losing side of that engagement.
How do you misdrone that? I jokingly brought that up in the hopes that it wouldn't happen because it's the stupid spot to play in. If you get droned there, you die there. And it works for Valor's. Oh no. Mistakes were made, but at least there's some bright side to Not From Here as they're able to refrag their way, and both rosters lose 2 of their troops, so 3v3 execute the halfway mark into this round. Critical operators were lost on both sides, but Not From Here, they still have their Nomad available. With those air jabs now going down range, you're going to be able to at least think a little bit better about your flanks, but you still need a 2-pronged solution. You will need some type of flank drone there, as well as air jabs. And lucky for you, if you're a fan of Not From Here, 2 dead compadres mean both of the stairwells can be monitored.
Right now, the entrance into that trophy is going to have to be halted just a little bit more as the smoke canister comes out, but it's Stab who finds an extremely risky engagement, and winning that out on Hawks is huge because that takes out another member of Valor's GG. So there is just one dedicated to one site, but it's Stab who finds themselves down on the ground and taken out by the C4s. Once again, the diffuser just has to stop off of it just for another second. And right now, Not From Home, they're fighting for their life, and it's Shu who finds 2 with the SMG-11. And Valor's GG is just absolutely destroying Not From Home on their own map pick. And now winning it out 7-1. What a extremely one-sided map, I just have to say.
I just can't get over Jaeger being misdroned in the tucked corner. I mean, come on. That's a frustrating thing to see. But valiant effort to go for the refrags. Great shots, too, from Zofia, challenging the mirror window over by Code. But beyond that, I mean, it just seemed like the defense from Valor was just more solid. I mean, look at the Goyo shield over by the bomb chassis. Double ADS, forcing that flashbang dump coming through from Not From Here. But since they lost some of their critical troops early on, that flashbang dump just didn't quite have the impact that was desired. The droning was lacking. The utility burn was lacking. And I hate to say this, Light Rose, I almost think map number 1 of Chalet was a fluke because it was a 5v4. Valor is playing at the man disadvantage. Their defending runs, that 4-2 split on defense for Valor's was incredible. A 5-1 split on Villa was even better. You can see what their strategy is, just to keep as much chaos as possible. Not From Here, unable to really understand the chaos element.
I think you kind of got lucky if you're Not From Here that you even got that first map. You did start off with, some kind of points. You're not, going 7-1 on both maps. You do win Chalet, so it's not all for a loss, but still, that second map was just such a tide turner for Valor's GG and Not From Here to show that Valor's GG, even if they are down a person, they can still have a little bit of fight. And when they gain that 5th member, you better watch out. That's because they are here to play.
Like I said, Valor's is probably the favorite to go into the grand finals. I mean, they are one of the best teams simply because all their players have a dumb amount of time played in competitive. They've been playing at top level for a very long time. I mean, to be fair, Tones on the opposing team does as well, but I think the Not From Here roster is a little bit more of a green team, still just starting to adjust. Now, Valor's did end up losing 2 players. I believe it's David and Habibi that dropped within the past 48 hours. So Valor's had 2 new teammates also enter the fray, but at least that common core 3 has that experience. And when you bring on other experienced players, we can bring back the fundamentals topic with Valor's was just impeccable with.
Yeah, well, that has been this match. We've only got a best of 2, no best of 3. And Chief, I think you are here for the second map or second match, are you not?
I am, but you're going to leave me. Is it?
I'm sorry.
Adam isn't coming back because it was supposed to be Creedy with you in the front, and then we're going to have, it was basically like the invasion of CCSW casters and talent doing, CCL today, but Adam had to step away since he's not feeling well, so I became Adam like I was all week for CCSW.
You're just replacing him.
Dude, I am new. I just need to, spike my hair up a bit, get an English accent, and I could be the Adam.
I mean,
so,
yeah, completely. I believe it. I believe it.
We're both boomers too, since we're college grads, so I guess Adam doesn't like us anymore, Light Rose.
Yeah.
It's a sad day, but it's not a sad day if you're a viewer of CCL, because another match coming at you very soon. Don't go anywhere. Keep your eyes on this tab because more great Siege to come. Another transition, another CCL is being geared up once again. Our first series today, Valorants would end up tying against their opponents, both of them able to take their opponents' map picks. But it's going to be a new series and another best of two. Unfortunately, Light Rose has stepped away, and that means I've called in a new co-caster. Hello, and welcome, fellow.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here for the first time for CCL Arc 6. Can't wait to be around here for a couple more matches. But the matchup for today that we must talk about is Orglis versus Niagara Falls Esports. And had a little bit of help from my buddy Binks, gave me a little bit of inside information about the two teams. From what I've heard, Orglis, a lot more frag-orientated. They are really great on maps such as Chalet and Coastline just because those are very frag-orientated maps. And then the exact opposite can be said from Niagara Falls Esports. Their strategies that they have implemented throughout the open quals really did help them stay here for the full season. So two exact opposites going up together will always assure a blast of a match to have.
Well, let's actually bring up those rosters right now and actually kind of talk about what's gone in the background for Orglis. One of their primary entries, he went by the name of iMat. He is recently a part of the roster of the past 24 hours, so there's going to be a substitute there. Actually, at the start of the day, I was hyping up how excited I was to see Orglis play because I'm absolutely an iMat stan throughout his collegiate endeavors. He's just an incredibly standout player. The way he takes map control, I mean, his presence is to be feared, but Orglis down one of the best collegiate entry fraggers. It's going to be an interesting task for them to move on forward because they have to bring a substitute with the past 24 hours who might not know the strategies of Orglis. Niagara Falls, on the other hand, they have some familiar faces. Lucifer is one of them, as well as Scrim. Honestly, though, Orglis, one of the other teams that we talked about when it came to Valorous, is going to be a favorite roster to win the overall championship.
I think definitely the map bans will be decisive ways to see how well of an advantage either one of these two teams can give as well. Because, like I mentioned, Orglis incredibly frag orientated, and iMat is a great example, like you mentioned, because you and I both have casted for him for Collegiate R6, and he's just a gunner. He's got some natural talent, and he grinds nonstop across the board, T3, T4, you name it. He will try to find his way somehow in any given league and just prove himself to everybody watching in Twitch chat and also commentating over him. So it's always glad to see him again once more, like you mentioned. And a lot of these players I have not been able to actually work around over and see how well they've been performing, but hopefully today will change that for myself.
Well, let's see exactly how they're going to be performing because our players did not take their sweet time to enter the server. They're already prepared and geared up to go. And fellow, good news. If you think Borrigan sucks, if you think the normal rotations of maps where everybody just runs Clubhouse, Borrigan, and Cafe, good news for you, my friend. Coastline will be our first map of the day. That's the iMat special.
Yes.
Akron, the roster he comes from, has proven that they just don't lose on Coastline. But again, that is concerning for me if you're a fan of Orglis, simply because iMat, who is going to be your primary entry IGL, is no longer able to guide Orglis forward on their own map pick.
Sadly, yeah. But hey, no Oregon. That's always enjoyable. Coastline is probably one of my favorite maps, and so is Chalet, just because
Coastline's your
they're
favorite?
not played a lot. It's up there.
Goodbye. I need a new co-caster. Grissom? Can we Grissom?
Dude,
can we kick him?
I knew it was too
him?
good to be true. I knew you would hate me over McCready instead. I knew it was too good to be true. It had to be at least one pun, like, God, why did it have to be Fellow? Out of all the casters, why him? But
Yep. Lord
like
Gooby is about to
Coastline.
hit you with the ban. Suck it.
Oh, no. Well, it's been real, guys. Yep, I got to hold up my L of shame now. I'm blushing because I know my time is sure to be up. But although I like Coastline, I definitely do think that it does need a rework regardless of that. It has a special spot in my heart, and that's one of the main reasons why I like it. It's just very different compared to maps like Oregon, and Oregon's played a lot because the strats are super refined and they are also just a really strong map. It's very competitively viable, and for the most part, I really cannot say that about Coastline, hence why it just does not get played a lot, sadly. But the one time it does get played, we're sure to see tons of frags come out left, right, and center, and maybe a couple of very interesting strats. I wonder if we'll see Penthouse, perhaps. I know it seems really dumb. It's not the best site to go when you're heading there. The double bar site is probably the best third pick option for the Holy Trinity, but hey, maybe we'll get surprised. You never know, right?
Dude, I've been memeing on Penthouse Theater and Ranked Man. That bomb side is actually pretty decent because nobody knows how to attack it. That's why I started to realize if you go to like different bomb sites. Like if you're playing CCTV and ranked and you go gym bedroom first, the attack doesn't know what to do. They just like crumble and like cry in corners. But one of my least favorite things, and also my favorite thing about Coastline, is that damn skyline square upstairs. Somebody just sits there with like a DMR, like a Dokkaebi, and just hangs out looking over towards Vase. Good luck if you're a defender ever rotating. You're gonna get absolutely slammed. Now, speaking of being slammed, I was not a fan of the Jackal Bams on our first 2 maps of the day, Chalet and Villa. However, I'm okay with the Jackal ban here on Coastline because you don't have the options of running away when you've been Jackal pinged. And furthermore, most often, you're going to be a 4 Jackal ping because the map is just so small.
A Thatcher ban is really not required. There isn't as much hard destruction that goes on in the map of Coastline. That's why you don't see the Thatcher ban or a Maverick, for example, like on maps such as Clubhouse in Oregon that we mentioned on earlier. Montaigne ban coming in through, that feels like a very heavy comfort ban. He can be annoying to deal with at times, and if you are going for a smoke plant, sometimes he is the right pick to go for, but a Valkyrie ban that is really staple on almost any map, and a very aggressive and frag heavy map such as Coastline, it really does hinder your attacking team if you're going to have to go up against her, so getting her off the board is probably safer rather than sorry. And the final ban, really interested to see it, it'll be a Mira. Okay, another really default ban going on. Again, almost any map, and Coastline in particular, because she can be used very well in towards the double bar bomb site. She can be used kind of well up in towards the kitchen area, and if you really want to get fancy, you can bring her on the other 2 bomb sites. If you really want to go penthouse, she can be kind of viable, or the hookah one, which most people go to first and foremost, and that's exactly what we're going to be seeing on the side of Orglis.
Kitchen forcing that vertical play off the bat. Sledge is going to be a staple of both attacking rosters, not only for access to that sledgehammer, the ability to remove the wood away from the floorboards, but also that increased frag economy. You're going to now have 2 sets of frag grenades. Iana is going to be the other set, and Sledge will be your main set. Now you're going to be able to address the majority of whatever utility the defense is bringing out. And we're going to see plenty of defense currently being shown. Goyo was a staple operator in our first series of the game, and once again, he is going to be coming back. But this is more of an atypical defense, because we don't see a smoke deployable shield, and we don't see an alibi deployable shield. Alibi is electing to bring out impact grenades. Most players or most teams bring out Alibi simply because she forces a pre-fire and she has access to deployable shield. Again, deployable... What?
Oh.
Why would...
Oh, no.
Okay, well, that makes having a deployable shield even more important. Now that your teammate just impacted your Goyo shield. Orglis, not off to the best start.
5 seconds left.
They're doing what the cool kids would call a little bit of trolling, burning through some of their own utility to give Niagara Falls that extra boost up to maybe help out their utility clearage. But like you mentioned, they have plenty of it on their own side, 2 sets of frag grenades, and okay, Sled just took a chunk of damage from I don't even know where.
That
maybe
sounded
he got
like an impact grenade.
Yeah, I honestly have, I don't know, to be honest with you, Chief, but now he's on 25 health, and if he loses all of his alibi, but he loses his air jabs, the other A word in towards Rainbow Six, then that's going to be really difficult to deny the flank watch. You're going to have to require some type of camera work on someone who's dead, perhaps, and you never want to have one of your teammates die off the bat just so they can be extra diligent on that cam work and watching out for the roam, but Sled almost spots out the Jaeger who's roaming in towards blue bar, but that barricade will in fact blind him from seeing it. He's just underneath it, dodging it around like we're in a solid snake game, so it'll still remain that 5-on-5 in the first minute of the action phase, but finally, some success is seen on the side of Orglis as Vastex picks up the first frag on towards the Sledge player.
Vastex still trying to play aggressive over by the pink bar window, and that's not going to stop him from now swinging into Mudroom. An ill-advised swing, too hyper-aggressive from him, trying to continue on forward, try to pad his stats with a second kill. Scrim's now going to refrag once again, and Orglus found the opening duel, is going to find themselves out of the driving seat, starting to be ripped away in this round. Now with a mana disadvantage by -2, a swing on through for Zofia, stop dead in their tracks. Liquid Nebula holding holding the fort down pretty well, and Stern will replicate that as well. Diffuser sorted over by Grass, and all of a sudden this round has just devolved into an absolute chaos fest. It's roller coasters all around. Stern sprints from reception, is now dead, but that Diffuser still hasn't been ground. An aggressive swing from Nebula, looking the wrong direction, stuck in the 180-degree crossfire, unable to do anything beyond that. Hyper-aggressive plays for Orgulus not helping them out.
I can kind of understand where Orgulus was coming from. You have to make in towards a 1v1, but just overextending yourself like that is most certainly not the play, especially when you still don't have to worry about that much time on your side. But I digress. It is the first round. A lot of hiccups normally occur in the first handful, and then things really start picking up the pace. But Orgulus, they're going to end up reattempting to go in towards kitchen and service with the exact same lineup. Hopefully Alibi has brought that deployable shield that you mentioned from the beginning, Chief, because maybe if we see an impact malfunction, maybe some players won't be set on fire in towards the prep phase, and maybe they'll just lose out some utility. But I don't think that'll happen again. But anyways, at least there'll still be more utility to have to burn through. But overall, the conversion by Niagara Falls was honestly brilliant. They were down on that entry, but then just brought it back pretty quickly and then got control of site for a quick second. They may have lost it, but then in that 2 versus 1, they held the cross peak. They did what they needed to do, and that secured them their first round win on Coastline.
I'm still curious why Alibi is going to be re-entering the lobby with no deployable shield. I mean, at the end of the day, deployable shields are the best secondary utility because they force so much extra strategy in from an attacker. In theory, one deployable shield will remove a flashbang and an explosive device, because you should never just send an explosive device to a deployable shield without checking first, unless you've droned it, which is also a form of checking. But more often than not, there is either my pancake, a gate of some kind, or an ADS ready to grab any airborne utility. Or you could also bring out a Flores, who is available in this lobby. We saw him play in the previous series, but currently Niagara Falls not electing to bring out that operator. He's a great initiator. He's great at removing utility because it goes away from traditional norms. You don't have to go into the mental checklist, the puzzle minigame aspects of so many of these rounds, because you don't have to coordinate the flashbang dump. All you need to do is coordinate cover fire, which you have to do anyways with the flashbang dump, and then drive an explosive device to a shield.
The term one-man army is used quite heavily on the side when Flores is brought on the board, and it's very accurate because he has everything that you need. Drones for intel, Flores boombots, or Arteros, most people call them, just to burn through Goyo shields, which has been brought both times by Orgulus now. Some people call them boombots.
I call them Roombas from hell.
It is catchy. That's a really good one. I might start using that one. That's a very innovative one.
Far today we've learned when you have this, whoa, hello, there's a knight yourself from underneath. So when you Syria gauge, or you like thunder fist your way, that's called a thunder fist, and I guess we now call them Roombas from hell. Unfortunately though, Orgulus is going to be now relegated to hell, as 3 of their players just instantly fall off the face of the earth. Vazdek's going to try to keep his team alive, and Nitrocell goes up and connects to the players sitting over in base, but he's in a crossfire by Square. He wins another miraculous gunfight. Orgulus might still be able in this round off the great gunplay of Vazdek. The problem is he just took engagements from above and is now sitting on 5 HP. There's no hope for him to now re-heal himself, but there is hope for Smithers, who's now equalized the lobby count.
This is still quite winnable for Orgulus. There's about 60 seconds left, so Niagara Falls can also go on that drone game. They still have some vertical presence up above, but Lucifer eventually will have to drop, and the carrier is being somewhat guarded by Smithers. He's up in towards lobby now, and the drone work is attempted by Lucifer, but the drone is too far away. He's not going to go for it just yet. Some soft pings coming through. Smithers just waiting patiently. He's anticipating either or the hatch drop, or behind him and towards main stairwell. That flashbang could give away Lucifer's position, and in fact will, as Smithers now changes, but he's not going to land the stun grenades just yet, possibly blinding out Smithers, and Vazdek covers the peak perfectly. The long angle up and towards bathroom will give him that 3k for the round, leaving it all in the hands of Sled on a fraction of HP, and not much health to work for either. It's just going to be a 4k gifted for Vazdek, as Orgulus, the second attempt on the bottom floor bomb site, will work out for them quite well as they kept their cool in the 2v5.
Niagara Falls is doing a lot of things very well in this round. Their ability to apply pressure upstairs is impeccable. I mean, they had 3 kills that they just worked on forward. It was Vazdek, as you mentioned, the 4k in the round. where was the coverage from Vazdek? Well, when he challenged up through the cool vibe stairs, he had coverage from one of the attackers of Niagara Fall over by Square, and he just won a miraculous gunfight. But I have to say, Niagara Falls, where is your preset drones? You worked so hard at the start of that round to drone out the entire top floor, drone out the entire bottom floor to get a good understanding of how Orgulus is playing. Why aren't you still doing that when you have the man advantage by +5? Or by +3? If anything, you're going to have more wiggle room to send your drones down range. You're going to be a little bit more methodical with your drones because you need to do that, because you need to make sure nobody's lurking at nooks and crannies. However, Niagara Falls just decided that, oh, we have a 5v2. Let's just start to push with no information. And when you give Vazdek gunfights, he is more than capable of winning it. I think he's doing a wonderful job of filling in the shoes of IMAT, who's, a player who's capable of doing exactly that. When he's pinched, he's like a serpent. He's like a slithery snake, and he will always wiggle and rat his way out of any problem. Why? Because he just shoots back better than you.
Just simply wins as one. He's built different, but still, a lot of last round really should have been had by Niagara Falls. They did throw a 2v4 lead, and Lucifer had plenty of time to drone still, so hopefully Niagara Falls does not make the same mistake twice, because it really should be 2-0, but it is 1-1. It's still the very beginning. It's kind of the honeymoon phase of Coastline, so there is plenty of room for improvement. Scrim gonna break one of the many Jaeger ADSs, but sadly his drone will get destroyed before he gets the second one, so there's still enough utility for Orgulus to work around and hinder out that push coming in through Hookah if it does so happen to go through. Vazdek's underneath as well, waiting for a spawn peek perhaps. Free Fire does come in through by Sled. It doesn't reveal his position entirely, so it's going to just be some empty peaks, and at that exact same moment, Niagara Falls will begin to work their way in towards Sunrise, trying to flush out Vazdek, but no! Scrim looks away at just the wrong time. That's not supposed to happen. Vazdek getting the first entry of the round and is still looking out for more, as he's just a menace on the roam game, now wasting all of Sled's time in this exact same instance. This is a great roam, but finally the refrag comes in through in the hands of Sled, and now a new player will take their place.
Reaper's going to get his refrag as a process and a result of that aggressive play. Gone 6, and it could be a rush for Ayana. Just pushing her way in through A. This is not a hologram, ladies and gentlemen. This is a live person. This is a human being with full control, able to find one, attempting the gunfight over into Vase. A successful endeavor, but the Nitro from underneath will stop that dead in the tracks. Stern tacking onto the board as well. It's going to now leave primary flank watch against 2. It's not been the first time we've seen this scenario mount. It was back in the previous round too, where we saw the kitchen 1v2 be won by Orgulus. 60 seconds left, and we're gonna have to see Nomad evolve into a fragment.
Oh, he's got tons of HP, wins the first gunfight, and Nebula swings on out, but only tags Sled. He does not get the refrag, so things are in a really swell position for Sled. He'll throw out a stun, make sure he doesn't get face checked once he works his way in towards Willa. Is playing this so passively, finally steps up a little bit closer in towards the pool area, and he has carrier, so Sled has to find the frag, but luckily they won't make the same mistake twice. He has time to drone, and he'll do just that, so he has some rough information on towards Liquid Nebula's position. We'll step up a little bit closer now, only about 20 seconds left, and he'll try to not play for time. He goes for the frag, but he can't get it. Liquid Nebula does not lose his gunfights, and Orgulus now up 2-1, a close call, but it's still a victory nonetheless.
Once again, another problem for Niagara Falls starting to mount. They just aren't droning. If you want to have your primary insertion force enter in through pink bar, there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to make sure your Twitch has a drone walking in front of her. Why? Because Vazdek could be in that pink window. There's a possibility of that, so why not have your drones confirm? If he is there, set up a crossfire. One through mud, one through that window. Vazdek is guaranteed to die in that position. However, he wasn't drone. He gets gifted a free kill, and honestly, Vazdek probably should have fallen off after got that kill, or if he still stays in that position, what he needs to do, snipe the drones, and don't actually challenge directly into Mudroom. His presence alone down there, or moving drone utility, will be enough to delay the attack of Niagara Falls. Unfortunately, he does not elect to make the decision. He's able to have himself be refragged, neutralizing the man count, but still, Niagara Falls was making mistakes. Were moving too fast. They're still just stuck in their ways, something that they're going to have to rectify moving forward, because we're going to see more deployable shields. It's most likely to be over here in the tucked, where we currently see both those reinforcements are going. That will be the case because of the ADSs. That's a brand new minigame that's very difficult to do. If you don't have information on who's playing that position, what the shield is like, and how to break it down, it's going to be practically impossible.
Attackers are
So if
moving
Niagara
to defuse the
Falls
bomb.
just utilizes the Yala hologram a lot more, then I feel like their information wouldn't be such a problem, but I haven't seen that many usages of the Gemini or even that many grenades either. It's mostly been scrim on the nade game. It's a little bit concerning nonetheless, but if they do manage to start using their utility a little bit more effectively, then clearing out these bomb sites such as Blue could be a lot easier, and Niagara Falls really wasting no time trying to get up above. They're going to try to go for that vertical play in the hands of Scrim. That way they can get some great sight lines, force some players on the side of Orgless out of the bomb site, or just get them in some really awkward angles, and then that can allow them to actually work their way in towards the objective room. But Zoldak, the worst time, tries to push on in. He gets shut down by Smithers. Luckily, though, Uklo is there to find a refrag, looks for another, and he gets it! 2 entries on the side of Uklo, but eventually Vazdex will trade it out once more. A 3-on-3 in the first minute of the action phase. Already so much blood being dropped, and there goes 2 sets of your fragmentation grenades on the side of Niagara Falls.
Good thing, though, there's a third set to be seen from Niagara Falls. They brought out so many different grenades, and honestly, they still have one more set. You mentioned how Scrim is going to be the primary nader. Well, he pulls the pin on one to get down towards Cool Vibes, but the player of Orgless, Stern, who was in that position just momentarily, get that audio cue and now rotates into pink. Hatches from above were not reinforced, nor were they pre-open, allowing Scrim to actually now swing his sledgehammer on up. It prompts a Nitro Cell in return, but it doesn't actually dish out that much problems. A tricky beaky play by our Alibi, now placing it in a more interesting position. Why is it interesting? Because it has been previously droned by Niagara Falls. They realized somebody, Reaper, was playing in that position. Now when they challenge, they'll see Reaper, but it won't actually be Reaper. It'll be a hologram.
You need to keep drilling out, though, to
Bomb
make
located
sure
by
that they're
attackers.
aware there's a hologram, and Reaper up and towards Courtyard. He's trying to look down up towards the top area. Not going to spot anyone out just yet. It'll still remain that
The
3-on-3,
attacker's bomb
but
diffuser has
a little
been
bit more
dropped.
time is being wasted, and once things start getting really close towards 0-0, it'll be a desperate attempt by Niagara Falls, and that frag coming out by Vastex will take things for a turn to the worse, and Stern follows suit. It's all in the hands of Scrim now, and
Attackers have recovered
it's
their
looking
diffuser.
rather grim for him. He's got to win all of his gunfights head on, having no frag grenades to try to flush somebody out or guarantee himself in towards a 1v2 position, and not having any time nor intel, and even getting spotted out up and towards Aqua. The stars are just not aligning for him whatsoever, and it's going to be Reaper to get him out of the equation, still waiting for his prey to hop right in towards him from Courtyard. A great round indeed by Orgless as they win 3 in a row, and they get a false rotation eventually, moving into the 5th round.
The strength of Niagara Falls comes from when they're playing together as a team. Let's go back to round number 1, the only round that they won, and even round 2, where they had good immediate control up until like the 90-second mark of round 2. Why did it work for them? Because everybody from Niagara Falls was playing together. They're on the same wavelength. They're communicating well with each other, and they're applying pressure to the map as a team. Ever since then, the round 2, final 90 seconds, and round 3 and 4 has been Orgless setting the pace on defense. How are they doing that? They're just taking gunfights, forcing Niagara Falls to swing as individuals, and they're losing gunfights.
Defenders,
I mean,
protect your
valiant
bombs from being
effort
defused
from
by
Ayana to find, that 2K over by Opsa's side, but she should have never been in that scenario. She should have had another teammate there to swing and save her. There was one. He died about 20 seconds beforehand because he pushed in by himself. Again, I don't want to start to sound like a broken record here, fellow, but where on earth is Niagara Falls drones? Why aren't they finding the impact? Because they did back in round 1. They did in the first 90 seconds of round 2. Why has that strategy gone away for Niagara Falls? If it's working for you, continue to do it. I need to see, basics coming out from Niagara Falls. Let's go back to our first series of day. Valor's was 4v5 on map number 1. They had great rounds. They ended up that series 7-4. Why? Because they have perfect fundamentals. Sure, they were down a player in every single round, but their fundamentals kept them in the series for as long as possible. Right now, the droning fundamentals from Niagara Falls, a little lackluster.
Even just putting someone else on the Yana, because Yuklo is fragging out, that's fantastic, but the fact that they're not going for any Geminis, like you and I have mentioned countless times, it's a really big concern, because that's how you get these roamers or get even the anchors in really awkward positions. But a nice frag will be found by Scrim up above and towards the roof, laying in towards courtyard. So there goes one of the main roamers without any droning required, but you're not always going to get that lucky. Like you mentioned, I'm going to even say it again, it's just, again, putting someone else on that Yana role. That way they can Gemini out and then force other players like Yuklo to frag and do his own job on somebody else, like an Ashe perhaps. That would probably make this attacking side so much better for Niagara Falls, but everyone is remaining on their same role. But luckily, old habits die hard, because Yuklo is still fragging out of his mind. He gets rid of Vazdek. That's your other roamer now down for the count, allowing for the vertical play to come in through. And although they lost Sled, they do still have a separate set of frags and a Buck to perform even more vertical play. But oh, that C4 could be deadly, and it is! Liquid Nebula, you've got to be kidding me! Lucifer and also Sled just line up perfectly, or Lucifer and Scrim, my mistake, and that's going to give Orgless back the man advantage. What was that?
Woo! Well, mistakes were made, but gifted another kill, a spray through the wall for Zoldak. And now he's going to find himself a deployable shield. An interesting gunfight taking place between these two individuals. Everybody just in a potato fest, missing all around, the flank from behind, and now Reaper has been dealt with. A 1v2 on sign. Frag grenades might be enough to remove Stern, but it's going to whiz over his head, missing the target entirely. No ADS to save him, which can allow for the stun lock to take place. But it's incredibly important. And Niagara Falls pushed together as a team. A prone angle is going to be spotted away. Stern finds his one. Now it's all on 1v1 gun skill. How is it going to transpire? A prone angle once again. Stern has seen this angle being held, but he's not going to be able to dish out the damage. He himself is going to be losing the exchange. Now both players stuck on 25 HP. Dodging around the fixed positions of the bomb site. The door frame might not be enough cover for Iona. She attempts to go for the barb melee, but it's not going to actually land a shot. Once again, another prone angle being elected. Stern has decided to rotate away. He can spot the rotation. He can spot the cutoff, but he isn't looking in the right position. He has no idea it took place, and the default camera is still up. Every movement of the attackers is currently being watched. Iona is constantly being relayed, but now they know she's in sight. No diffuser to be seen. Now committed to a full execute. Diffuser on the other side. Stern knows this too well. Starting to retreat away. Time is on the side. The swing happens and Stern takes the kill. What on earth transpired? Where was the diffuser? Why did it take over 75 seconds for the remaining 1v1 to transpire?
Oh, again, Yana, you're alive. It's a 2v1. You have 50 seconds. Go for the drone game. We cannot stress this enough. Me and Chief are dying in the booth saying it over and over again. We're trying to beat this information into you, and you're just not going for it. Stern was essentially spoon-fed because he just had to pick 1v1 gunfights, and those are so easy for defenders to win most of the time. It's, oh my goodness, it's so stressful because Yuklo is fragging out of his mind. He's doing great on entry. It's the droning, Yana's primary job. He doesn't do it. It's really mind-boggling, to be honest, Chief. I hate to sound like a pessimist, but if you're going to just only frag out with Yana, then bring somebody else perhaps, and then have somebody drone for you. That way you can keep winning more gunfights, because having that intel to go off of while fragging is just, it's like peanut butter and jelly. It's just meant to be together. But right now we are seeing peanut butter and thumbtacks and nails on the side of, oh my god, the attacking side. Whew, I'm losing my mind, Chief.
And I think our frustration is stemming from the fact that we know Niagara Falls is capable of droning properly.
Yes.
We know that they're capable of doing it because they did it in round 1. They did it partly through round 2. Why would you go away from that strategy? I don't want this to become, let's poo-poo on Niagara Falls commentary, but it's a very frustrating thing when a team already has the fundamentals because they've proven to us on broadcast, and they say, nah, fam, I just want to push by myself with no information. I mean, that's one of those scenarios where, if you're a coach or an IGL watching this, you just want to bash your forehead against your desk because it's silly, silly mistakes that Niagara Falls are better than because they can do it. We know that they can do it.
A lot of stuff could have been different from that last round we just witnessed. We could have seen a rotation towards service, a plant possibly going down. There's so much room for improvement, and I hope that with this technical pause, Niagara Falls figures that out and just turns everything on its head. I really do, sincerely. And maybe it'll be the defensive side that gives them more leeway, perhaps, because Orglis has been dominating on the board in that term. But other than that, it's looking rather grim for Niagara Falls. And like we've mentioned countless times, if it does not change soon, then it's going to be their demise up against Orglis, because especially since they're super frag orientated and they're winning a lot of the gunfights off the bat, most of these rounds have been entries favoring Orglis. I would not be surprised if we just keep seeing a bit of deja vu in that moment, Chief.
I mean, I was concerned for Orglis when I'm at 5 minutes before broadcast said, "Hey, I'm not playing this series," and I'm like, "Okay, Orglis has just lost. Like, I cannot see them winning without IMAT." However, Orglis has said, "Chief, shut up. We are a solid team. Our cohesion, even with a substitute entering into the roster, they are doing phenomenal. Honestly, Orglis is playing beyond my expectations. Like I said, I expected greatness from Orglis. I think they're probably one of the best teams. Is probably Valor's and Orglis sitting at the top of, my personal pick for the best rosters here in CCL. And with IMAT departing, I was just left with so many question marks. I had no idea what we'd see from Orglis. And right now, they still have that strength. They're playing very aggressive, sometimes too aggressive. And I think that's why you need somebody who is going to be there saying, "Hey guys, let's not just swing everything and die. You got your pick. Great job. Fall back, snipe some drones, and move on from there." So if anything, Niagara Falls needs to be able to exploit the hyper-aggressive nature of Orglis. Force Orglis to just swing at everything, right? It's like a pitcher just throwing fastball after fastball. The batter's starting to realize that, and he's going to start to swing. That's when you go with a slider or something different. That's exactly what, we need to see the Falls do. They need to start to throw a slider.
Niagara Falls only scratched the surface on that, because last round we did end up seeing the Buck player of Scrim actually find an entry on one of the main roamers, and then they found another, but then they got too confident in themselves and didn't really dig any deeper. They went in the vertical play, and Liquid Nebula found a massive 2K, removed all the soft destruction, and then for the most part rendered Niagara Falls useless. And then when they had to just start approaching from a horizontal level rather than vertical, they weren't doing the right steps to actually achieve victory. Like we've mentioned, we're going to keep doing it until Niagara Falls starts doing it. They just weren't droning enough, and they weren't gathering enough intel required, because once you get rid of that vertical play and try to fight head on, it's going to greatly favor those defenders, because they only have to look in one separate direction rather than multiple, and then they all funneled in. They tried having a slight cross peek with having someone on the prone play and then the main doorway, but just a lack of communication just slightly imperfected that timing. And like I mentioned earlier, it gave Stern 2 separate 1v1s. And even though the 416 has been nerfed time after time, it's still a phenomenal gun, especially when you hit those one-shot headshots.
I mean, Stern looked like he had a laser beam there. It looks like the recoil increase did not affect him. Honestly, Jaeger 416 recoil isn't... Yeah, what nerf? Nerf Stern instead. Nerf IMAT instead.
True.
Nerf Vazdek instead. That's what
Don't
you
nerf
do.
the op, nerf the player.
Yeah, nerf the players. Just like handcuff their hands together and make them play like on a mouse pad that's like 1 inch, so they're playing on like 8 million DPI, and they just do like that, and they're doing like 7 360s. That's what you really do there. Now, fellow, I have to know, how disappointed are you that we have yet to see Penthouse Theater? We were memeing on it earlier saying, hey, maybe it can come through. I mean, we have seen Pro League teams during this stage bring out Penthouse Theater unironically with actual legit strats. So maybe entering into, a national amateur league, that could take place.
I am on the verge of tears. And unless either one of these teams wants to see me cry, then they should probably bring Penthouse, or I'll be a very upset young lad. I'm only kidding, of course. But it can be a tricky bomb site to defend if you just don't have proper strats. And Orglis, them being a little bit all over the place, I don't know their scrim regiment. So, especially on Coastline, you don't get to see a lot of Coastline. And then you're like, oh,
Thank
yeah,
God.
Penthouse. Yeah, Penthouse. And okay, Chief, come on. You cut me some slack up here. Not seeing Coastline all the time and then having to go Penthouse, it really does question, should we even bother? Let's just go the 3 normal strats. Let's just not really try to spice things up. And it does seem like that is the case for Orglis. They have brought the exact same lineup on every single site, every single round. It's been the Goyo, the Alibi, Vigil, Mozzie, Jaeger, and it is not a bad defaulted lineup, don't get me wrong, and that is why it's kind of working. It just forces you to rely on your mechanical skill, and Orglis has tons of that in their arsenal. So it does make sense why they're bringing it. It's in their comfort zone, and that's why they're winning time and time again. But I feel like Niagara Falls could really push their breaking point just a little bit more, and that would really help secure them a lot more wins, especially on the attacking side of Coastline. That's why it's not a map that is brought all the time, because some of the sites on Coastline are really lackluster, which forces the attackers to win a lot more rounds. And at the moment, we're really not seeing that.
I have a perfect solution to that, fellow. Bring Theme Park back and can Coast. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Wow.
Or introduce another map. Maybe bring Border back. I don't really care about Skyscraper, but we need more. We need new
we don't care
maps
about that
into the
map.
map pool, and Coastline just can't be here anymore. I mean, simply put, the attackers can get gifted kills when sitting on the skyline. We saw Buck in the previous round do nothing other than look toward luggage, and wow, a defender walked in front of him. And since, you know, Buck is a half decent player, all he needs to do is pull down on his mouse and he gets a free kill. No droning required, nothing like that. That's the problem with Coastline. You can't effectively roam, or at least the roam can be cut off way too easily without the attackers taking true map control. So just close the skyline. Do what you did on Border. You know, how they used to have that skylight there. They just made the wall 3 feet higher, and all of a sudden, you can't play the skylight. Actually, there are ways to play the skylight. They probably banned in comp because I think their map glitches, but you can still nade into East Stairs. There's still plenty of aspects. Again, I just want more maps into the map pool. Not necessarily like a 9 map pool, but just get new maps in here. You know what? Bartlett University, Europe, welcome to the comp pool. It's going to be a
At
different
least
game mode. So here's
at
how
least there's
comp
something we can
Bartlett
agree
works.
on. Yeah.
Instead of planting the bomb, you know, like a diffuser game mode like we currently have in comp, what you do is the first attacking team to touch the building wins. Easy, right? No, it's impossible. Bartlett University has like 8,000 windows, and back in the day when all the defenders had ACOGs, all you would do is spawn peek and the attackers would just all die outside the building. Easy peasy. Or what you can do is you can go have competitive playing, and then there's going to be some dude outside with Callie and Glass out in the grapes, you know, 100 meters away from the plane, rifling bullets through the glass panels and getting luck kills. The same thing as Coastline. It'd be the exact same map as Coastline.
Maybe just for only playing, you give a defender a sniper rifle and you just have them 1v1 outside and just try to see how that works. Or go for trick shots, maybe like Rust 2. It'll be the new Rust. Think about it like that.
FaZe is playing in Siege. Well,
and LATAM is incredibly aggressive. LATAM was one of the main staples for Cali players. I mean, they kind of brought that in for a little while. We haven't seen a ton of Cali nowadays, but it was fun to see. They are very experimental, and that's why LATAM is so much fun. I just really wish I knew how to speak Portuguese, or at least understand it, because just hearing them passionately talk but not understand a single word is really disheartening, because I want to watch more LATAM, but I simply cannot, and I don't always have time for the English broadcasts because they're not always around. But hey, it happens, right? Can't always get what you wish for. So for me, that's going to be not watching LATAM and watching cool Cali trick shot montages by FaZe.
Yep, and I can't get what I wish for. Canning Coastline and canning you.
Yeah, I know. Only a little while longer. You know, just think about it. We're about halfway done, theoretically, with Coastline, and then one more map, I believe it to be. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then you never have to hear from me again until, I don't know, maybe another
Solar
league
Flare?
opens on up. Yeah, I was going to say SFCL. I was going to say maybe to hear with me again, and then maybe we'll make fun of Scott
Yeah,
some more.
another grand final, another 5-map grand final with you. Inconceivable. Unacceptable.
No.
Gooby, Lord Gooby. Fire him, please. That's all I want. Oh my god, we went from a 5-minute attack pause to 0-0 on the clock, and now we have 10 minutes left. It seems like things are getting very long, and honestly, fellow, as much as I love, you know, shooting the crap with you, I think we're gonna dive over to a quick break so you guys aren't forced to listen to us ramble about things. Don't go anywhere. We're back with you whenever we're back.
Bye-bye.
The connection has been lost. All of the online networks are down. Biotechnology has been successfully implemented. The new era has begun. Systems operating properly. Gate number 6 is being opened. All the weapons are locked and loaded. Dystopia 2077 is starting now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready.
Well, it seems like
okay.
Fellow has just
Nope,
died
I
on
figured it
VMix. What
I
a day
figured it
between
out.
us, Fellow.
That is
Were
awkward.
you muted on VMix? Did you not actually unmute yourself?
I am I cannot confirm nor deny that, Chief.
Oh, big brain. As we would call it, if Reese was doing it, you just pulled a monkey. Congrats. Excellent
Thank you.
job. And apparently, you're the one that needed the 15 minutes to actually recombobulate yourself
I
because,
did.
man, it was a perfect opportunity for both of our rosters to calculate their plans, as you mentioned earlier. again, you just didn't calculate yourself. You didn't factor your own self in, making out mistakes.
Nope.
Vaz deck seems to be perpetually talking into game. That's an
Attackers need to
unfortunate
locate
game
and
bug,
defuse
but
bombs.
we'll see him. Okay.
Oh, well, apparently it didn't matter. I guess
Well,
my
they're all
gigantic and awkward mistake. Yeah, I guess my gigantic and awkward mistake just did not matter because now we're going back to our faces. Hi, guys. You couldn't get enough of us, so you wanted us back again for a second time. But what I was saying while muted was that this does give a lot of time for Niagara Falls to refine their past mistakes. Maybe that can give them another round win on the attacking side, but the exact same thing can be said for Orglis. Maybe they'll double down on their aggressiveness and rear their heads up and towards a 5-1 split, and then they're just 2 rounds away from winning it out on Coastline, and we all know how attacker favorited this map can be, so that could lead them to a very quick 7-1 victory, which I hope doesn't happen because we have seen a little bit of promising stuff on both sides. I know Niagara Falls has it in them. They just really need to push themselves to that next level.
Well, since we're back on the clock once again, fellow, have you read any of the new patch yet? Have you seen what's going on, with the new changes? The 1.5 time sign is being taken away from Frost. Alibi will be getting up instead. Increased vertical recoil for Sophia. What are your takeaways from it?
So, I'm not too sure if the optic changes for Frost is a good thing. Maybe removing some type of gadgetry instead, like perhaps her shield. That could be a really good example because she does have a lot of unique options, but I think her primary submachine gun works perfectly with the 1.5 times optics. It's meant to have a slightly longer range scope like that because it's a bit longer range. You can bring a long barrel on it. It has very minimal recoil. It's a perfect setup, and you really shouldn't be hindered from that because you have so much utility in your arsenal. Maybe removing the secondary shotgun. I did like that feature though, not having to bring a castle or like a smoke, for example, and just relying it only on Frost. That's kind of nice in some points, but like I mentioned, I think the best course of action was instead just removing a deployable shield because there are so many operators on the defensive side that can bring a shield. Might as well just try to thin that herd just a little bit. That's one of my takes, and I guess I'll talk about the Zofia one as well. I don't think the recoil change was also that necessary. I mentioned this earlier as a joke, but I was being semi-serious. You can nerf the operator, but you cannot nerf the player that uses them. These heavy fragging players are just going to pick different operators. They'll go on the fragging Yana. We've seen that countless times already in this first matchup on Coastline. They'll go back to Twitch with a 1x optic and just use it like a freaking laser beam. It's never going to end until you nerf every single operator's recoil. So instead of doing that, get rid of some of her gadgetry. We have a lot of new operators such as Flores that can be used for utility dump, so maybe lessen that ability on the Zofia instead of increasing her recoil, because I think it's just a very simplistic way of nerfing operators that blatantly just don't need it.
Interesting. I actually disagree with you entirely. Let's
Yeah,
look
no,
at
I
Jaeger,
heard on
for
the past
example.
broadcast.
Yeah, Jaeger's change was flawless. Honestly, people want to cry that, oh my god, the 416 was nerfed. I can't use any game. Oh, shut up with that. Like, cry me a river. Seriously, he has the best rifle
right,
on
though, on that.
defense.
You are.
He has a rifle
Yeah.
that is as good as the attackers and the most important utility. How is that a thing? How could he have two of the best things on defense? It doesn't make sense. So if you want to cry about Jaeger's recoil, suck it. It happens, man. It happens. Actually, the one thing I will cry about Jaeger, give him the ACOG on the shotgun. That's all I have to say. No,
Ooh.
but I will say, we've
be
seen
interesting.
more of a dynamic change between the three operators, particularly with Ashe having an increase in recoil. Zofia, she's a laser beam after all. Why should she be one of the most important fraggers? She's the only fragger who can burn her own ADS. That's very strong. So if her recoil goes up, that's fine by me, because even a Flores, his gun is AR-33. It's phenomenal, by the way. Incredible
Yeah.
weapon. He'll
Absolutely.
be able to fill that role, but if we're going to see a power dynamic between the three primary entries, the Ayanas, Ashe, and Zofia has become a little bit more aligned, where, it's just a coin toss, or I guess, a three-sided coin toss, where you have a 33% chance of bringing either one of those operators. Like, I'm on board for that. Maybe we're going to see more LMGE. 150 bullets with an ACOG, it's actually broken. Like, if you haven't used LMGE recently, particularly with the new barrel attachments, if you're running a flash fire in that bad boy, jeez, dude, it laser beams almost as hard as the M762. So you know, maybe we're going to see a lineup change in the guns. But again, I'm on board for it. I don't want I don't want operators to be so important, like pure fragging monsters and pure utility operators. I want a divergence. So somebody like IQ, if she stays the way she is as a fragger, I'm fine, because she doesn't actually bring all that much utility. If you're just going to use IQ as a brain dead entry, fine by me, because how often is that scanner actually being instrumental? It's not, because she doesn't bring flashbangs, she doesn't bring nades, she doesn't bring anything throwable, and all she can do is see through walls for utility.
And I think that's why I love talking with you, because you actually make good points. Unlike a lot of people in this Rainbow Six community, you actually think before you speak, and I do greatly appreciate that.
They just cry
But
about Jaeger changes? Is that what we're saying?
we can, yeah. For Jaeger, I can agree with you that, though, because there aren't that many operators like him. There's tons of utility clearage on the side of the attack, but for the defensive side, it's Jaeger on Mai, and that's it. And Mai's already been nerfed, so nerfing
Rooney's
him
entering
a
there as
little
well.
bit is a bit. This is true. This is true, because you are required to burn through it. It is completely bulletproof and explosive proof. Unless you shoot that explosive through the Syria Gate lasers, then it technically isn't. So that is a fair point. And honestly, I am a really big fan of Rooney, but I digress. Having our slight disagreements always does make the cast actually interesting.
So,
Wait.
I love
You hear
Theorycraft. What's up?
I don't know. I think I'm just hearing things. I think the voice.
Are
in my head is
you
getting
hearing
loud.
things? Are you just
Continue.
hallucinating in the background? No, you just ruined my point, man.
Yeah.
Like, I was gonna have this brilliant point about something, and then my 3 brain cells has just
Defenders, protect your
instantaneously
bombs from being
gotten
defused by
destroyed. But
attackers.
hey, good news, fellow! Look where we are! We're in the server! Alted players
Whoa!
are here, shields are going down, reinforcements are going up, and we no longer have to, argue about, dev things. Yay! And look who's back! Frost. I will say, I absolutely love Frost. Frost is one of my favorite operators to play in ranked now. And even if she loses a 1.5 times sight, I'm still going to play her, because it's hilarious when pretty intelligent players vault into a Frost map and then they just drop question marks in chat. Nothing makes me feel better about myself than BMing somebody with a Frost map. Expansions being made over towards east side of the map, and is going to be our alibi, it looks like, placing the majority of her holograms in those positions. It might be a strange thing to have a hologram on a soft wall with no punch holes there, but you have to keep in mind, the whole idea behind the alibi is force the attackers into a pre-firing scenario, and most times the attackers are just going to mag dump as soon as they drop in through the hatch of washrooms, because the opportunity cost of not is having a defender just swing you.
Sled on the 0 pick. I do not mind this at all. I think bringing Sam Fisher on the board is a great way to gather even more intel. It feels like it's kind of overkill, though, having both a Yana and a 0, but the fact that Yana is basically just on frag roll and has some grenades in her pocket, I guess it does make sense to bring the Sam Fisher. That way you can have some great flank watch, because those Argus cameras, when deployed in really nice spots, you can just have a dead player sit on them and just scroll through multiple active cameras, but I don't think he was able to deploy most of his Arguses before he gets demolished by Stern.
Oh, no.
And Vaztex underneath picks one up too, in towards hallway. Oh, I thought the tactical pause would actually help you, Niagara Falls, but it's only worsened your push so far. It's already a 5-on-3, and Orglis, they're not letting their foot off the gas pedal, and default cam's still up. What is this? Oh my, I'm completely speechless. And a 2K for Vaztex come out. What is Niagara Falls doing? I'm about to lose my mental.
Fortunately for me, my mental has been lost a long time ago. Well, we're critical about Niagara Falls bad droning. Well, that's not going to be a case here, as they haven't droned once. They haven't even entered in the building yet. A wayward Nitro Cell finds itself going up to Disco Booth, but doesn't actually quite impact the target. Lucifer response 1 over by 90. Good crosshair placement by him, but ends up missing due to the door frame. Being sprayed from underneath, the roster of Niagara Falls is in a bitter position right now. They're being slotted from so many different positions. Reaper's gonna get one, and now stuck over in bathroom. Explosives are raining, bullets going through the wall, and the monster, the terror of the server, Vazdex, with the free information, gets the kill into the wall. A 5-1 defending half for Orglis. Valors were able to do this earlier on back on Villa. It seems like Orglis is wanting to copy them. Oh, no.
Oh, not again. Not the third time in a row. Please tell me it's only a joke. I can't take this, Chief.
I want admin to confirm. We'll have Cravington confirm this. I doubt Gooby and Cravington is going to allow them to rehost again because we're now like 20 minutes into this technical pause, and he's talking Discord.
We burned through an hour.
Well, I could pull in a tarot right now, fellow. What did you have for breakfast?
A Danish and then a coffee. I ate very light.
Danish and a coffee. How posh of you, the way you mentioned that.
Yeah, I had to help my mother with some stuff, so I was a little bit preoccupied with that. She was packing her car up. She's going on a really cool concert, and I was like, "Hey, perfect time for me to cast because
Where's
now
she
nobody
going?
is home
Where's she
with
sing?
me." I think she's going to see Luke Combs. She's
Oh, nice.
going to see country, which I'm not a gigantic fan of country. I save it for
Nor
country
am I.
fest. That's where I get it out. Yeah, it's just
Luke Combs is
it's
good
not
though.
my-
Like if
not a cup of
I
tea.
were to like
He
if you wanted like if you were like, hey, you have to go see a country singer, I'm like, ugh, country. That's Luke Combs. Like, all right, I can at least stomach it. I would enjoy myself. I'd have fun. You grab a couple beers, and it would be a vibe all around. So hopefully Armand has fun. Now, since you said you have the house alone, are you gonna have like a rager tonight? I mean, you're casting video games. I already know the answer to that question.
Yeah, probably not. Hey, this is a rager of a game, though. You have to admit, we have seen some.
Well, no,
banana
Vazdek
stuff
is just
going on.
raging. It's Vazdek and
He,
Stern just going
I am
nuclear.
raging.
I'm raging.
I'm raging in the booth. Yes, we are. We're going. We're
You know,
going insane.
his name
and
is
so is
Lucifer
Vazdek.
for a reason, right? Like, he is the devil. He is
He's giving
Satan
him
for
hell.
leaving the lobby and making us to have a 30-minute Rios at this point. Oh,
I might
no.
just go on my bed behind me and go take a nap because new
Yeah?
camera angle. I don't
I like the
know
new
if you
camera
saw
angle.
this at all.
I was looking at it earlier. I was just trying to be a good caster and actually look at my camera, not your bed, because we didn't really get to the green room much beforehand because we had about like a 10-minute throw, so I didn't get to check out your room. So, well, you want to give me a room tour?
Yeah, this is pretty much it. It's basically a
I
gigantic
see your
closet.
suits. It's a closet, huh?
yes.
With the light.
It's
with the windows.
not a closet, but it's very small. Yeah, it's a very small room. So we make the joke that's a closet, especially my old camera angle. You cast with me when I had it. My shelf was literally right behind me, this giant thing, and I just put a sheet over it. It literally looked like I was in a room like this big. But
Looked like
now
Casper
you
the
can
Ghost
see
was about to
that,
stab you.
yeah, probably thinking about it. But whew, that's
I've never had a shelving unit think
lot of
about
great
stabbing
stuff.
me before. That's a new one on me.
And
Which seems
now
to be a
you've,
problem in your
made my
life.
mind
Which
race.
yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you
Oh
enjoyed
my
your
God.
breakfast.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope you're
Anyways.
enjoying this game because we're back once again. If we go to another like tack pause, man, I might just have an aneurysm.
I might actually go take a nap. Might go and undo my slightly wrinkled bed and just go into lay in there for a little bit and just go watch the fireworks. That is this game, because we've had a lot of time to just burn through. It's not the amount of fluff that we normally go through in Rainbow Six, that's for sure. There's already plenty of that in the actual round. Like what I'm doing right now, I'm stalling that way I do not have to talk about this bomb site setup, but. I digress.
Incredible.
I guess I'll mention it a little bit. Yeah, I know. It's really
What bomb
big
site are we
brain
at, fellow?
strategy.
Where are we going?
Sadly, not Penthouse. Hate to say it. We're back on hookah and billiards for, I believe it is the third time. This is the third time. Yes, I do know how to count. I must have learned because last time I casted, I had a big brain fart and just forgot how to count. But yes, we
I have
are
a
in
degree in
fact
finance
in
and I can't
hookah
count.
billiards. Yeah, that well, thank you for making me feel a little bit better. But
It happens. To the
yeah,
best of
this
us.
looks to be a very frag or ranked heavy lineup. There is the Mutant Mozzie, so that's great for Rome, I guess, and just drone denial, and a Doc, which you don't get to see every day, and you don't get to see Sled top or frag out on the first entry either. But he'll manage to show us a little bit of a treat and gets rid of Liquid Nebula, the Yana player, and a second one for Sled. You have got to be kidding me. He's looking for a third and almost gets it, but the E1D will give away his position. I mean, Orglis already knew that by now, but now they are 100% sure of his whereabouts, and will try to get him out of the picture, re-pick up that carrier. But 4-on-3 for Niagara Falls. It must have just been the defensive side where they need to really step up, and so far they're doing that, and Sled is wasting so much time and manpower currently in towards blue, and eventually dies.
40% of the roster count has been neutralized in the first 60 seconds of the round. Sled did a wonderful job of wasting time. We've been critical of Niagara Falls for the lackluster droning. I have to say, Orglis is already starting to make that mistake. They just enter in through office with no droning whatsoever, but they will be able to rectify those mistakes based off their mechanical skill as Stern finds a kill, trying to just push his way up in through Cool Vibes. It's going to be a sea of barbed wire. He's going to have to make the decision, impact it, or, well, melee it into oblivion. He's going to elect your drone instead. It's actually a good decision by him because if somebody was lurking on the Vibe stairs, he could lose his life through that process. He's going to confirm that Doc is in that area. And now a new decision is going to be made for Orglis. They're going to have to decide on how they elect to execute into this bomb site. An explosive device goes off. One of the Ash breaching launchers now cuts the entire bomb site in half, forcing Doc to play aggressive. The disadvantage still in favor of Niagara Falls, and they're going to have to start to do something very unique right now. They just have to start to take gunfights, and if they lose their gunfights, that's going to be the bomb site ripped open wide, and there it is. The downs, the multi-kills, and Orglis just crumbles. It hits him. What?
Wow. The range on that C4, you don't see that every day. You could stand on top of a nitro cell and still live to tell the tale, and then that one in the Aqua hits the Lion? Just siege things, right? Just siege things. And Niagara Falls, after a 5-round losing streak, will redeem themselves by a miracle play with a deadly C4. It finally took them on the defensive half to pick things up a little bit, but you're still at that 3-round deficit, and Orglis is still fragging out pretty well. Sled was able to give them a run for their money and waste a ton of time, but it did take a huge turn for the worse. It really did feel like Niagara Falls relied heavily on Sled, and if it weren't for his masterful plays up in towards Blue Bar, this could have been a completely different round, and to be honest, Chief, we might have been looking down the gun barrel of match point sooner rather than later.
I have to say, though, this strategy, the operator lineup from Orglis, I didn't get a chance to mention in the previous round because everybody just died, was the fact this screams to me the Akron offense on Coastline. And surprise, Matt was a member of this team, so he probably showed Orglis his infinite wisdom on this map. Again, Matt has been a individual in the scene who's pioneered some of the amateur strategies on Coastline. I mean, he's been a threat, him and his entire roster. I can't just say him, because JetCon's also a big factor into that. But they were always running this practically the same lineup. The only change they would make is it would usually be Arv running, probably a Selma charge or a Thatcher, just because they wanted to remove utility sooner rather than later, right? So with a Thatcher, sure, you're not participating and, remove things on the wall, but if there's ADSs in your way, Thatcher's just going to turn them off.
Yeah, so we don't see that, though, when there's a ton of utility on the side of Niagara Falls, of Mai, Jaeger, and Aruni, all the ops that we talked about that are great at removing those stun grenades and explosive charges, so they're going to be on the board and full playable capabilities for Niagara Falls as they were able to extend just slightly in towards Sunrise and Blue Bar once more. But Reaper is in fact here, and he goes for the wide swing out and picks up one on towards Sled right as Uklo found that entry on towards Stern. There is still a player up in towards Sunrise, but the push comes out by Vastex. He's going to pick up that refrag quite swiftly. So Sunrise now in the hands of Orglis. They do still have to worry about those Syria gates and those possible long angles like Scrim is holding Curly. There are some cans blocking his vision, so maybe he'll reposition, and he does just that, but it's not a horrendous position for Niagara Falls. But if they do in fact lose one more player, as Reaper is trying to get aggressive on that swing, then this might not be a recoverable position for them. They'll be down on a 2-man deficit, and there's still plenty of time for Orglis to, for example, go on that drone. They've got the Yana holograms, and oh no, that is not how you want to have the 2v4 happen. Lucifer just getting his Ethernet cable ripped out of his PC, and now Orglis is in the front seat once more and has a great chance at bringing this in towards match point. And Mr. Reaper almost confirms that, and he does with a 2K! Orglis, you've got to be joking me. Oh, Niagara Falls having no luck on their side. I don't even know if we can go into another tactical pause, Chief, because we've had several at this moment, but one thing is for sure, we're finally in match point with Orglis 1 round away from ending Coastline.
I think Niagara Falls realizes that Rios is not the option. They haven't even called for it yet, and they're just going to be forced to play 4v5. What a bad day to be rosters, man. We saw Valor's play 4v5, and now we're going to see Niagara Falls play 4v5. And, well, the defense 4v5 for Valor's actually was pretty solid. They were able to win 4 rounds on defense. So, if Valor's were, Niagara Falls is more than capable of doing exactly that. An incredible attack by Orglis in the previous round, in a round that they had really no pressure in whatsoever. It wasn't like that they took map control. They didn't have vertical pressure, no sludge to be seen, no floorboards were moved. What Orglis did, they saw pressure over by Pink Bar, and they flanked, and they pushed Pink Bar as a team. Great use of their utility, great use of their information. Too many eggs in one basket for Niagara Falls, ending up just losing full control of the West. As soon as the West part of the map was lost, Niagara Falls was a sitting duck. There's no way for them to hold their bomb site. They would have to either try to make some Hail Mary play, either run out through stalls and try to spray in through outside of Pink. But even that is just not going to quite find the impact as you desired because, well, it's a Hail Mary of bullets. You're just praying that it finds a headshot, and even that strategy wouldn't be viable because there's a member of Orglis over by Blue Bar.
And unlike Valor GG, Niagara Falls has had their main roster pretty much the entire first matchup, and now they're in a 4-on-5. It really does beg the question, do they have what it takes to go up against Orglis? And now they're already at a huge disadvantage. They're on the defensive side of Coastline. They have a very obtuse extension towards offices. This is really ripe for the taking, and Orglis is not going to waste any time on match point. They already pick up the first entry. E1D comes out as well. They are clearing out Sunrise in just fractions of a second, but there's really no one here to guard it. There's one player in towards Blue Bar, but he has no kill holes to work with. He's kind of just anticipating a wall bang perhaps, and he in fact gets railed from outside by Smithers. It's already a 5-on-2, Chief, and now a 5-on-1. There is no time left, basically. It's 2 minutes left, and I don't even have time to finish my sentence. Orglis, they just run in like bulls towards the red cape, and they're going to pin down the Manador just like that. 7-2 on Coastline. What a bloodbath.
Unfortunate to say the least for Niagara Falls. They had moments of brilliance back to round 1 and 2. They were so good there. Other than they just made silly mistakes after that. Plus, you incorporate technical issues with one of their players, Lucifer, and it just becomes a very bitter pill to swallow. And, to make things worse, or maybe it make things better, at least they're going to be playing one of the best teams here at CCL. So if you're going to have technical issues, you may as well have it against one of the best teams. So when you go with a team that, you have a guaranteed win against, or you're going to have a closer matchup with, you're going to have the even matchup that you desire compared to, 4v5 against a roster that's probably already going to end up winning the series. Kind of like Valor's probably should have won the first series of the day. Doesn't really matter in the end. Fix your stuff now. Come back next week 2.
Yeah, but with all that being said, we will hopefully try to fix the internet issue on the side of Lucifer's and also go into a short little break in that downtime, get ready for map number 2. So stick around for some more CCL R6S, because we'll still be here trying to do our best up in the booth, and hopefully the players do their best in terms of gameplay in general. Welcome back, everyone, to CCL R6, and I think my buddy on the co-cast has a fantastic gift for all of us to look at while we experience some more issues and time waiting for the rest of the players. It's a cute little dog who's now looking to face of Chief. Isn't that adorable?
Yep, this is Cora. She has been very sad that I haven't been paying attention to her at all during this broadcast. She's been on my bed just like looking at me the entire time. So since we're having another technical issue right now, the problem is Lucifer can't join. So admin is debating on whether or not they can pull a legal substitute. So Cora has decided to say hello to everyone, and she's adorable. I mean, look at this little face. Look at this, so cute.
Yeah.
So cute.
I think dogs will always remain super cute, no matter what.
Yep.
Even an old dog, just kind of
Yep.
just an unspoken rule, you know?
Yep. She's a
But-
crackhead. She's an absolute crackhead. She just runs around the house like a monster.
Yeah.
So she's been pretty calm today. A little bit whiny at the start when Light Rose was here. She whimpered a bit because nobody was paying attention to her. But hopefully now she'll be a little bit better as she's getting plenty of attention. But it's adorable. She's just too cute, man. Too cute. I have to be
Love to
careful,
see
man.
it,
If I
but-
put her more on broadcast, man, people aren't going to tune into her casts for, our casting the players. They're just going to tune into her.
They're gonna want her on the casting booth. They're gonna want her opinion. You should ask her about all the new changes for
Cora,
mid-season
what do you
reinforcements.
think
Ask
about the
her.
new changes? Do you like the Zofia changes? Are you a Zofia main? No, you're probably an animal and like a Clash main. Oh, goodbye. She's over it.
Oh.
There she is in the background,
Doesn't
maybe
want
going
to
to her
disclose
bed.
her opinion.
Yeah, she doesn't want to disclose her opinion. She doesn't want to give up any insider information. Maybe she has, the program where the devs fly her out and, let them run the new builds of the game. Maybe she's, experienced a new operator.
Maybe she is. Yeah. That's
Maybe
honestly a
she
really
is
good reason why.
Intero, who is just, Intero turned into a dog. I mean, they both have the
Intero
same
dog,
hair color.
yeah. Maybe. Maybe she's like the Tom Holland of Rainbow Six, where she is just always spoiling stuff for everybody. Maybe she knows where the next nerf is going to go through. Not the ones through mid-season, the ones after that for the new season, perhaps. You never know, right? But what we do know is that Lucifer will be subbed out. So hopefully no more technical issues moving forward once we get everyone set up in towards the lobby. And that should make things a whole lot more enjoyable for, everybody, because having those countless rehosts happen time and time again and really having no way to try to stop it, just having it out of our reach was very agitating, especially since I know that everyone is doing their best and is doing a really good job overall, but just, again, having someone's internet or power just cut out and them not being able to do anything about it, it sucks. And I know that from firsthand experience. I think you have been in the casting booth with me when something like that has happened. You've had to cast whole entire rounds for SFCL. I remember that quite
Or
vividly.
Zaysho, where he lives in the world, sometimes
Oh
he'll
my
have problems.
God.
Now I can hear it
That
to my
is-
left on my bed, and I keep looking over to see what she's doing to terrorize things over there. She's just out murdering Chew Toys, which is adorable in itself. It'd be
Yeah.
awesome if we actually entered into a game at some point and we didn't have to deal with technical issues. Supposedly, we're less than 90 seconds away. And you know what? We never actually rolled out map beds, so I'm going to be honest with you, fella. I have no idea what map we're going to be entering into.
Well, I have a hard time believing that it'll be a back-to-back enjoyable one like Coastline and then Chalet. It'll probably be something a little bit more
I
standard.
can tell you,
to
it's
be
definitely
honest.
not Coastline and Coastline.
Yep, sadly, it was not the way you guys mentioned it for a new possible BO2 system where it's 2 maps in the exact same instance because you do 2 separate map bands. That'd be interesting. I doubt that would ever happen where it's like, yeah, let's just go Coastline twice, or yeah, let's go Oregon twice. Actually, for Oregon, that could happen. There are some diehard Oregon fans in the amateur scene and in really any scene, and I think I would rather bleach my eyes out than have to watch 2 Oregon maps back to back, let alone commentate them.
Pardon
That would
me,
kill
you
my
pronounced
soul.
it wrong. It's Bor again.
Oregon. Oh, sorry. I was gonna be like, are you one of those weirdos that says Oregon? No, you meant Oregon. Okay, good.
It's
I agree.
Oregon. I mean, that's why
Yeah.
Reese lives there, right?
Yeah, I mean, should I go get my blanket and pillow back there? Should I go and get?
Yeah,
up
go
and,
take a
like,
nap,
get up-
man. Go take a nap. I'll entertain the
mean,
peeps
yeah.
while you do that. Let's
If
just,
we go there.
we had 3 seconds according to the rolling thingamabobber down there. So we're not in a game yet. It's lied to us. I'm heartbroken.
The plant must be going down. We're still at 0-0.
All right, I gotta move my camera. This is too funny. I can't get
Yeah.
over there.
Oh, you can see the toy. You can see the. Oh no, is that the dog lying down? No, it's the dog lying down. I thought it was a chew toy. Nope, it's just the dog. Aw. See, even your bed's nicely made.
It's
why don't
not.
you
I
say
only
you're
put that
making
there
mine?
so she doesn't like tear up
The-
my sheets and stuff.
Yeah, at least it looks good to the naked eye, at least for me, at least. But yeah.
We'll just have the dog
So-
cam going the whole time while we wait for. Oh my god, they put 19 minutes down there.
Oh boy. All right. Well, that is awkward. You know, I would love to go to a break, but I think we'd rather just watch the dog instead of just.
Yeah, we'll
having
we'll
it
talk
starting
more about
soon
things.
screen.
What'd you
Yeah.
have for lunch, man? We know what you had for breakfast.
I had nothing. I had water. I'm gonna probably eat after we're done broadcasting.
What time is it where you
Probably
live?
gonna be soup. 5 p.m. almost 5:30.
This is painful to hold this camera up. It's a very awkward angle because I'm just like holding it in midair. Yeah, I had dolmas for lunch. That's all I had because I had to run between the 2 broadcasts in about like 10 minutes. And she had to go for a walk. And then the other time was like just eating dolmas out of the container as quickly as I can.
Oh well.
Life happens, man.
So, yeah, it's just how it is. Can't always get a full nutritional meal. Hate to see it. I'm probably gonna have soup when I'm done with this. It's not that hot where I'm from, hence why I'm wearing a long sleeve in the middle of July because it's 70 degrees out. It's been raining nonstop here, so it's been actually really cool. We got off a heat wave, then we've had a ton of leftovers from Hurricane Elsa, so it's been raining, some slight tropical storms, and now we're in like the aftermath of all the rain. It rained last night, and it's still pretty cool. So I'm okay with that.
So the entire Pacific Southwest is just getting brutally nuked by a heat wave everywhere except for Southern California. So I was making fun of the Pacific Northwest and everyone who lives up there, and well, it seems like once again I'll miss another heat wave, and I can make fun of everybody else who's just boiling alive where it's over 120 degrees in certain places here in California, but not here in SoCal. It's actually 79. It's actually pretty warm feeling.
Nice.
But yeah, it's not too bad, all things considered. Oh wow, we went from 19 minutes down to 3 minutes.
Whoa.
Like I said, I have a degree in finance, and counting isn't always the best. I tend to count on my phalanges, but last time I checked, 19 doesn't go to 3 very easily unless somebody just completely forgot a bunch of numbers and time between.
Well, I haven't done any genuine math in a long time, so I can't tell you, Chief. I think you're in the dark here, or maybe you're not even in the dark at all because you mentioned you're not even the best at counting either. Like, very relatable.
1,
But
3, that's it.
yeah, it gets really tricky after 3. I actually agree. I've been trying to learn. Scott was trying to help me, and then I realized Scott's not any better at counting.
Scott can't help you, man. I've seen more brain cells from a cockroach than on Scott.
He's got the looks, but
He does.
That's it. That's it. Sadly,
He really does. I mean,
Just wanna go through
it
some-
happens.
Believe me,
Oh no.
the land was a riot. We were killing it up there, and yeah, he definitely
Thanks for the invite.
wanted nothing to do with me after that.
I wouldn't want anything to do with you either. I'd actually
I
rather
know.
deal with you than him. Who names
Yeah,
their
sure.
child Scooter?
I don't know. Apparently,
Dumb
apparently
name,
not
man.
a good parent.
Seriously, man.
Well,
Scooter.
other than Brian, what would you consider to be a good first name? Because I feel like you would kind of default to that because that's your own name. So I'm not going to give you any helpful points on that. What do you think?
Brian.
Oh, but spell with an I. Good man.
No. Spell with a Y because that's the only way to properly
Oh.
spell it, man.
All right, whatever. Yeah, all right, cool. Just completely ignore what I said. That's okay. I'm not the first time you've done
Well,
that.
I'm definitely not
to keep
selecting
things interesting.
Jonathan. Who names their child Jonathan?
I don't. I honestly have no idea.
Yeah.
I still regret it to this day.
How
Probably
do you
gonna
say
get a
last name?
change.
Shoots?
What's
nothing
nothing like how it's spelled. It is
Okay.
it is Siege. It's like Seech or like
So
Seach.
it's Siege is how you pronounce it?
Yeah, kind of like Siege. but
Jonathan
like
Siege?
not
Siege?
J.
Oh, Siege.
Yeah, not
Jonathan
J, but kind of the same.
I like it. How does an S and a Z? What's the origin of that name, man?
So it's Polish, I believe, or like. So I'm from Hungarian descent, but you
Mhm.
know, Hungarian wasn't just Hungarian. You're like Germany, and all that stuff. So it's like a German/Polish derivative name, and I think somewhere down the family tree, someone messed up the pronunciation because I believe it is actually pronounced such. That's how it's pronounced in Germany and across
So it got
Europe and
Anglicized?
everywhere else. So. Yeah, so I think someone in my family tree royally messed up our own last name, and now it's the burden I have to carry because I refuse to change it because it's a great talking point to mention every time someone sees my last name. And you just proved that point because we've gone through the entire band phase just talking about names, which I cannot get enough of.
Yeah. Oh, well, hey, band voice is done. Maestro's the final band. Thatcher, Flores, Mira, and Maestro rounding out our bands. And I hate to break it to you, my friend. Like I said, we weren't reported. We weren't told what map we would go to. We said hopefully not Borgen. However, the Pacific Northwest seems to be our home for the next 60 minutes as we tend to gear up for round number 1 of Oregon. Hopefully they would mix things up, maybe go to the sister bomb sites, the meeting and dining. However, very traditional showing so far here from Niagara Falls as they're queuing up for a dorms hold upstairs. And it's a 4v5.
Well, so much finding a substitute. Guess no one was interested in playing. Okay. That's unfortunate. So now we're going to have a little bit of deja vu because last game that you and Light Rose commentated, it was a 4v5 throughout the entire matchup. And now we get to see that once
Attackers
more.
need to
But sadly,
locate
no
and
Light
defuse
Rose. You have
bomb.
to listen to my grueling commentary, unfortunately. But that's okay. It could be worse, right? Could be Scott. Let's just keep making fun of Scott. You know, I don't do that enough when I talk with him one-on-one because we're incredibly close, which is why I get to make fun of him. But I digress. Enough with the stalling. I guess we can go into how this top floor bomb site will be set up. It's pretty straightforward since you're very limited, since you're already down a player without even making a single mistake. They're going to have a bit of a roam game, perhaps, in the hands of Zoldex and on that Mozzie, a little bit of drone denial as well. And then the Kaid to slow down hard destruction. And because there is no Thatcher, this is going to make Maverick's job a whole lot more difficult. But because there is a
5
Sophia
seconds
in the
left
mix
before
as well, they can
insertion.
just do a common Maverick trick. You see that a lot on maps like Clubhouse, and
Attackers are moving
it really
out.
shouldn't be that
Locate a
difficult to
bomb
get
and
Attic
defuse it.
opened up. It's probably going to be a much bigger challenge, though, for players like Liquid Nebula to get open up that classroom area, especially if the Electroclaws are actually out of sight of that vertical play up towards classroom.
Good point to mention because Electroclaws tend to be banned. Cage seems to be a default ban here on Oregon, but Maestro selected is a little bit atypical. And Stern needs to be very careful with that Claymore placement. The end of the red lasers aren't on the other side of the window seal, so if somebody from Niagara Falls jumps out, in theory, they could actually survive, or what could happen, they could be outside for a very prolonged time, get a kill, and then die on their way on back. Sure, you'll be able to get that refrag there, but you don't want to have any of your teammates dying to one of the most basic runouts of all time. A linear execute transpiring here for Orgless, applying pressure to big window practically instantly. No hard reach to be seen. A clone goes out. Oh no, that was Vazdek. His actual person removed. No clone to be seen. A missed drone. Maybe Orgless playing too aggressive because it's a 4v5. That's actually one of the downsides to a 4v5. Sometimes you think you have a round in the bag just because you have the advantage, and then you make really stupid mistakes like that.
You lose a lot of intel gathering now. There are still plenty of frag grenades because there were 3 sets. There's still 2, so it's not that big of a hindrance. And Mr. Reaper is going to already toss out one nade. It's going to force out Yucklo just a little bit. He might end up reinforcing that rotation hole in towards kids, and he's not going to. And already Addict is in full control of Orglis, and now they don't have to get funneled in towards the doorway leading into the other bomb site near dorms. Instead, they can walk through kids and just try to out-frag their opponents, like Yucklo, for example, and try to get a plant down in a really good position. It may not be a man advantage for them, but they are literally right outside the door frame of that bomb site. So this could be an easy way to pick up some type of frag. They're watching multiple angles, but Yucklo is still proven to be a really big nuisance. He picks up a double kill for himself and gives Niagara Falls a great lead, but it gets traded out once more in the hands of Nick with Nebula.
A scuffed rotation being made by the X-Cargo pellets. It might not be a spot that the primary heartbeat can rotate the diffuser on over. Stern finds one, instantaneously removed by the big window pressure. And now the attackers, one of their fixed positions is off the board. Liquid Nebula is forced to go for rotation. Smithers is able to make that coverage. And now the kids' dorm's bomb site is in full control of Orglis. Scrim on the other side over by Metal. Pushes away on forward, but won't go very far. Stuck dead by the pre-made murder holes in the floor. Those were designed to stop the attackers from doing exactly that, but holes work both ways. Orglis able to take round number 1, but a really good effort by Falls.
They had a great chance of bringing it back. Yucklo with a magnificent 2K on the smoke. It really did slow things down, but the fact that he could not reinforce that rotation hole leading into kids from Addict really did seal their fate, because then Orglis can just run in towards kids, and then what happened? They won a couple of really important gunfights, cleared out kids, and got a plant down with relative ease, and the fact that they still had the numbers count in a 2 versus 1, it really did leave Scrim in a do or die situation, and he didn't do anything but die from the kill holes that his own team made, like you said. So the first round boding quite well for Orglis, and now we're basically at square one again. A slightly different lineup this time. We're gonna have a Wamai on the board instead of, I believe it was a Jaeger, but still that 5-on-4, nothing you want to start off with. I mean, I have had the unfortunate fate to commentate a 4-on-5 before, and the 4v5 did bring it close, ended up winning it, but it is still a huge mental issue when you're already at a deficit. And like I said, round number 1, you have done literally nothing wrong. In fact, Niagara Falls did everything perfectly until the end game, and then they soiled their lead that they in fact gained quite well in the hands of Yucklo.
Now, if I was Niagara Falls here, I would go to the basement as my primary bomb site, simply because I think it's easier to hold in a man disadvantage scenario. Why? Because in theory, one defender can hold every single door. You can hold laundry, you can hold the north stairs, you can hold the west stairs, and you can hold blue. So you're going to have more than enough coverage to be able to do so. But upstairs, there's so many ways the attackers can execute. You can do an underneath take, use explosives, you can bring a buck, soften up the hard-held positions. Honestly, if I was Orglis, I would go with that strategy. I would buck from underneath into kids' dorms from kitchen. Why? Because look at how Falls is currently playing. They're putting a lot of their roster count in that position. They're not playing very aggressive. There is no big full roam. So if you weren't able to remove the floorboards away from certain players, the whole strategy would start to fall flat on its face. However, an interesting strategy, rolling forward for Falls, somebody's lurking in T3. He hasn't been droned, and he's about to get one. He confirms it down, forced to go to the pistol. No, he pulls a nitrocell instead. It gets shot mid-air, so it just falls a little bit short. But Zoldak has been confirmed up here. It's a battle to the death. Zophie is able to retreat out the window, and now Orglis knows for certain they had a terrible initial droning.
Ooh, and the fact that Mr. Reaper couldn't get the wall fully broken up and soft breachable, that's going to force Stern to not be able to push from Attic. So now we're going to see a slight funnel accumulate on the side of Orglis. They still have that man advantage, but Zoldak will try to change that a little bit and eventually gets fried on out by Stern. So a 4-on-2 and now a 4-on-0 because a sea of blue just occurs through in front of our faces, everyone just picking 1v1s and simply winning them out. Orglis, their second round win in a row. It didn't matter that they couldn't get the hard destruction opened up in towards Attic because they still had the capabilities of working their way in towards Master and still ended up winning those 50-50 gunfights, which is what you never want to go up against on the defensive half.
I think Niagara Falls needs to learn the lessons from Valor, who was in a 4v5 earlier. Valor won 4 rounds on defense. How do they do that? It was Flinties and Hixer playing a tandem roam and taking gunfights on individual attackers. Attackers playing by themselves would die in this 1v2 crossfire, this tandem swing, and it was quite a menace to deal with. Nothing that the offense could have done. Now, Niagara Falls needs to do something like that. It's imperative that they find an opening kill to neutralize the round. They need to enter the majority of the round with a 4v4, because if Orgulus has access to all their drones, all of their utility, it becomes practically impossible to hold. Change up in the traditional reinforcements of our B rotation into J. Most of the time, they're leaving the north panel open, but I'm actually okay with that south panel being open if you plan on maintaining it open as long as possible. The reason why you open the north panel instead of the south panel is the attackers who are swinging to J will be able to cut the pie and see the south panel first before they see the north panel, right? Because the wall just covers it. It's just a perspective issue. But also, Smoke can also hightail it out there faster from that angle. Just the opportunity cost, and you have to value the risks and cons.
It's kind of personal preference. It normally doesn't make or break an elbow extension. It's really not that big of a concern, but yeah, like I mentioned, personal preference. So far, Orgulus' personal preference is clearing out T3 right off the bat, because that was almost a big problem for them last round. They're going to get rid of the roam presence first, if there is any, and then just start working lower into the actual objective room itself, and also Freezer perhaps. They have the Queen of Hatches herself, Habana, which is being played by Liquid Nebula, and a Maverick as well. So the hard destruction is really limitless when it comes to working their way around. This could be a very straightforward Freezer and maybe main stairwell, or pardon me, laundry stairwell push, because they really have everything that they need. Another 3 sets of frag grenades as well, but what they don't have is an entry. Sled's going to pick that up on towards Vazdex, which even things out, so it's not completely over for Orgulus, but losing one of your main sets of frag grenades and your main intel gatherer is definitely a nice slap in the face that Niagara Falls will guarantee.
Sled is playing over by Pillar side. I'm not sure exactly what Vazdek was doing there. Was he solo pushing down the north stairs, trying to be a sneaky boy? He was obviously unhappy with his death. An incredible shot from above. That's the E-box hatch that Reaper was just opening up. And he did it all by himself with no coverage whatsoever. A rush on forward. Reaper finds a second, converting it to the third. Won't be able to do that, just missing his shots barely. 2 members last. 4 falls right now, and still that J-Bunker extension working wonders for falls, but a flank from behind. Sturm claiming both of those players. Great gunplay there. Orgulus really abusing the man advantage department.
It does not matter that they lose a player off the bat, because it's still a 50-50 coin flip, and Orgulus simply not losing their gunfights. I talked about this at the very beginning of our broadcast, Chief, that they rely heavily on their fragging capability, and that's how they're winning all of their rounds. They're just picking gunfights that are 1-to-1, and they're winning them. It's really that simple, and Niagara Falls needs to stop feeding them these kills. It's just really worrisome. You need to take every opportunity that you can. We're seeing these entries favor out Niagara Falls, with Yucklow getting a 2K on round number 1, and then this round we saw Sled pick up the entry and even things out. And then they're still foiling out themselves. It's still a loss at the end of the day, because they just mess it up for themselves towards the middle and end game. You can have a great start to your round in the action phase, but if you do not convert that exact same success, then you're bound to make a huge mistake, and then your opponents are probably going to mark it off of that, and that's what Orgulus has been doing for 3 rounds in a row now, as they're 3-0 going into the 4th round, and we're seeing meeting and kitchen being played this time. It's something new and different, which I like, but this is probably one of the easier bomb sites to actually attack, so it definitely leaves a lot more questions rather than answers for the side of Niagara Falls.
I would just go for basement holds and just force the attackers into fatal funnels. Maybe bring out trap operators. Maybe you go for cheap damage. Maybe this opportunity for Smoke and Tuchanka to enter their way on through. The only problem with Meeting Room is the fact that since you're at a disadvantage, you can't hold from above. You can set somebody up in the top hatch, but it won't matter. And the other way, if I was Niagara Falls to hold this, I would have a Nitrocell denial from underneath. that would be dead right now as Orgulus is double drone basement and has had double entries moving on forward. Full control of the basement is going to allow the North Stairs control. The attackers can just start to open up the wall whenever they decide. Vazdek finds the opening kill. Slad, who is roaming the other side of the map, has been addressed. There is secondary roamers there as well.
This is not looking good for Niagara Falls, and Vaztek's still on a tear. Stern picks up one as well, and it's all up to the lone Jaeger of Yucklo in a 1 versus 5. I mean, it's not looking good at all for for Niagara Falls. My mistake. I am incredibly petrified. And there goes the nade to flush them out, and there it is. Orgulus take round number 4. That is not what you want to have happen, but it's still just a complete domination on the side of Orgulus. Niagara Falls just not being able to have any success at all. This 4-on-5 is really hindering them a ton, but it also does come down to the fact that they're no longer even picking up the entries as well. It's just unsuccessful peak after unsuccessful peak.
And it is possible to win multiple rounds 4v5 on defense. We saw it earlier today. And again, yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the second showing of a 4v5. Our first map of the day was a 4v5. Our second map of the day, 4v5. And it's just no bueno. You just hate to see it, honestly, fellow. And mistakes were made, or maybe not mistakes, just life happens, Sometimes the router decides to chuck itself. We gave everybody in Falls as much time as possible to figure their stuff out, but sometimes, your net service provider just wants to give you a fat middle finger. So far, Oregon has been a middle finger towards Niagara Falls as well. No impact whatsoever. Sure, they get a nice kill here and there, but beyond that, they need to devise some type of strategy to stop Orgulus dead. Again, I want to see, like, a Tachanka, smoke, or nitrocell denial strategy. Something to slow down Orgulus, because right now, nothing Falls is doing is stopping the attackers.
Their roam game is not working, so I wholeheartedly agree with you. Just doing something other than roaming and praying to God you win your gunfights. You got to have a different strategy than that because it's not working. Orgulus just has better gunners, which is not a big issue if you're going to have them play on your own terms, but Niagara Falls is not doing that. They're forcing themselves up against one player on the side of Orgulus with only their own backup, and they're just dying. And luckily, it doesn't happen this time because Zoldak does get that entry, but we've seen the exact same scenario like this multiple rounds already. Orgulus not even needing to find that entry. It's that 4-on-4 because Niagara Falls is playing a 4v5 from the get-go, and then they just ruin the 50-50 chance that they have of bringing this back. But Zoldak is still out looking for some more frags. He's still roaming near kitchen corridors. He works his way a little bit closer in towards meeting this time. Not going to get too over-aggressive. He could possibly go for a C4 toss underneath through the soft flooring once Addict actually gets opened on up, but he's going to have to remain very patient for the time being, as this Maverick trick will definitely take a hefty amount of seconds off the clock.
Yellow pings go out, so there's some type of flank drone for Orgulus who's identifying that meeting has some pressure. And look at what Orgulus is doing. They're starting to move their troops over into split, cut the off, and remove Zoldak. Excellent play by Orgulus, keeping their heads in the game. Sure, they made a mistake on the primary entry. So now they regroup everybody, and they're starting to be able to apply more pressure throughout the entire map. K-Claws are being quite pesky for Orgulus, though. They can't quite deal with it. Maybe use a frag grenade at some point. Reaper with control of South Pit. Soft-cooked frag, maybe to maneuver one of the players stuck by the door frame. That's not going to be the case. He shoots the K-Claw, and the player by couch is now stuck in 180 crossfires. Reaper able to spot it out. Stern finds one. Down but not out. Effectively a 1v4 on the bomb side. Reaper misses his shots, but it doesn't matter, as his teammates are able to secure the deal.
It's really brutal for Niagara Falls, and I can't really get that mad at them because they are always playing with a handicap of not having 5 players, but they are still doing a good job from the beginning. It's just not at the end is where they're picking it up, and now they're just going full on rank strats. Maybe that is what they need to end up winning this out, perhaps. But I am just I'm really in deep thought. I don't know what they could really do better. We've already discussed that time in and time through, and on the side of Orglis, they're doing everything perfectly. They pincered out the roaming Mozzie of Zoldak through every single escape route that he had. So he had to play there to die, and die he in fact did, and that gave the man advantage back to Orglis. They got Addict opened up. They moved the Cade Claw to allow that double push, forcing out the Mute player. They're playing textbook definition of just great siege on the attacking side, and I feel like it would be only a little bit more challenging even if it was a 5-on-5, because Niagara Falls is really just not doing as good as I feel like they could be.
Did they bring a dock to allow Sledge to Oryx's way into rotations and stem him back up? Sledge just ran through one wall, taking 5 damage. I haven't seen him do it again. I can hear his bailiff sounding in the background. So he's at least making rotations with his pistols, making the head holes over into the freezer side of the map. Sensible to do, very common to have. Now, Solo Con Wall, or not Solo Con, Solo Basement is currently unreinforced with no holes in it either. Uh-oh. Fellow, is this a rush? Is Orglis just going to be mean? Are they sending it on through? Beeping devices. The microwave beeps in the background. Stern has been given away. Able to shoot it relatively swiftly. And now, Falls should be aware that it might be a rush through blue tarps.
Already in the first half minute of the action phase, Blue Bunker is in the hands of Orglis. Yucklo does find that first entry, and here comes the effect of the Doc Stims that can basically fully heal up Scrim, and he's going to do just that, only having one more Stim left in his back pocket, but it doesn't really matter because now they're all dead. A 3-on-2. Liquid Nebula picks up one, Reaper follows suit, Nebula with a second now. Sled did find one, but he's got to find another 4 if he wants to give his team their first round on the board, but it's just too much pressure being applied to him. Orglis, 6 round wins in a row, I believe it to be, or was that the 5th one? I have lost my track here. Nope, it was 6. All right, right the first time. Didn't mean to correct myself, but already match point. Orglis, I think they're looking just to seal the deal with 7-0, and I don't really know what's stopping them. Even the rush worked for them, Chief.
I like the dock play. I liked what I saw. Good attempt by Falls, but bad position to be in. Say la vie, move on from it and try to find some success in your attacks. I will say, Oryx maybe should remove his shift keycap, because I don't know why you would sprint in a 1v3 by pillars. Like, where do you expect them to be? Not on the other side of pillars coming down from the stairwell. You'd be better up, gonna up. But again, it's probably a panic scenario where you just are, whatever happens, happens. You have to move on forward. Moving on, Orglis now has their defending stint going upstairs into dorms. They're just going to try to do this as traditional as possible. Why? They want to end this round as soon as possible. They kind of want to put Falls out of their misery. Again, things in life don't always go your way. Falls is trying their best to put rounds up on the board, but now that they're on their attacking stint, being able to do so is going to be very difficult, plus the fact that you don't have access to all 10 of your drones.
And could have had possibly another set of grenades. The Maverick could come through with Yana. Now they only have one set. It's gonna probably force their hand a little bit more than they wanted it to, disregarding even the 4-on-5 alone. Just the operative selection is just not at its best capabilities. They really have no utility clearage except for some lifelines perhaps, and that's really it, which is obviously quite concerning, but at least they do find an entry on towards Stern, someone who's been giving them a very hard time when they were in fact defending. So now it'll remain that 4-on-4, but still, this does leave a great chance for Orglis to just redeem themselves. They've done it almost every single round. They haven't lost a single one, and I doubt they want to lose now on the defensive side of Oregon. They light up Sled to high hell, not confirming the kill though, so they'll still remain that 4-on-4, but one shot away and he'll meet his maker, and there it is. Liquid Nebula gets it relative ease, and second he runs out and gets away with it until Yucklo manages to do it, but a second run out occurs! Vastex, you've got to be joking me. They're playing no games but the mental one, and Reaper from main doorway gets rid of the last one. Oh, Niagara Falls getting 7-0'd, a complete dumpster fire. But hey, at least Orglis made it a merciful and painless killing.
I was waiting for that Valkyrie run out from the bus can to take place. I figured that would take, and there it is. And boy, did it take it. 2K followed up by another jump out. Life happens. Something we've been saying a lot. Niagara Falls put in a bad position, forced to go 4v5. Even when they were at man advantage, they were making mistakes on their troning that was back on coastline. The winners of the day, Orglis, and again, you just hate to see 2 4v5s in week number 1 of CCL.
But hey, it's only week 1. Maybe we will get all that sorted out for sure. And that will leave us a lot of room for improvement because there were some phenomenal rounds by Niagara Falls. I know we were dogging on them quite heavily, but when they were doing their due diligence, when they were droning out, when they were clearing out the map properly, they were playing some phenomenal Siege. And once that stopped, well, they ended up losing. Who would have guessed it? But hopefully we see a lot more improvement on their side, and I hope we still see the exact same Orglis that we have seen now because they are just absolute gunners. I think the only thing I would want to see more from Orglis is more IMAT, but I don't know if that'll be the case. Hopefully it is, but this week it sadly was not. But they did not need him as they were lended a helping hand from the Ethernet gods across the way on the side of Niagara Falls. But I think that wraps it up for us. I don't know if we'll do any interviews or
There
not,
won't be
but
one.
it has been a very long day. Nope, there will not be.
Yeah.
I did not think so. Thank you, Chief.
Well, I just want to thank our entire production team for dealing with all the technical issues, all the admin side, Gooby, Grissom, Cravington, Narwhals, and of course our
Grissom
observer of the day, Shin Bob, and of course you, fellow, for dealing with a 30-minute tack pause and just randomly talking about breakfast items. That was a blast. And hopefully we see, you know, a little bit more competitive games where players are actually allowed to stay in our servers. But until next time, my friends, we'll be back with you tomorrow at the exact same time. So we'll see you then. Until then, stay safe and well.